2, 3, and...
Something about you feels so different. Yeah, you mess me up inside. It's like your energy was kissing my soul back to life, was living. Now it feels like every part of me is dying. Yeah, you're gone without a trace. You left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard, but I can't find my way out. Lost all dimension and time. message that I send you. You just leave them all unread. Now every part of me is hurting. Cross my heart, I don't deserve this. Loved you just for you to haunt me in the end. Yeah, you're gone without a trace. You left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard, but I can't find my way out. Lost all dimension and time. I don't think I'm losing my mind. And this goes down.
And the candles glitter like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pum pum pum. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Show you want to enter, you can turn back. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you do. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're too scared, get out. A haunted, haunted, I'm a haunted house. Na 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 na. Na na na. To you. Na 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 na. Could you love her? A haunted, haunted house. Oh, could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. You're too sick inside. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. My words till the coffins in the third. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion.
Don't even try to tell me it's too early. There you go. Happy Halloween, gatekeepers. Welcome in. Get a good seat. Pull it up really close to the screen because you're not going to want to miss tonight. I'm telling you what. Now, thank you very much for being understanding. Last night, we had some technical difficulties. I hit it so many times with the hammer, it gave up and started acting right. So I don't know what was wrong, but we are good to go. And I put on Sleepy Hollow. It was a favorite from a few years ago. And boy, I'll tell you what, it was fun to see that again. You're just not going to get. I love the classics. I love the traditions and the customs and even the weird ones we've come up with, that we've made a standard. Like, I'll never understand chocolate eggs at Easter, but, so be it. And I don't understand, some of the other traditions, but okay. Because they're fun. And some of them are downright delicious. You know what I mean? So what are the traditions that you love best about Halloween? Is it getting dressed up? It's got to be. Is it getting to act like somebody else, like you can plan it? Mine was always not just dressing up, but the planning and the creating. And we always made our stuff most of the time. Or I think our rule was you could get one or two store-bought items like accessories, but you had to come up with the rest of the costume. That was always fun. I don't know. What was your favorite traditions while we're getting settled in tonight? Throw them up here. Is it the candy? Everybody loves the candy. Is it the reason to have a party? I can remember multiple parties that we had as kids, like third, fourth grade, something like that. Where we decorated somebody's basement and had punch and played, music and danced and acted silly or whatever. Those were always fun. A couple of people I remember got really creative and did the whole shut out the lights, and you had to stick your hand in the sheet and there'd be somebody on the other side with a bowl of like cold cooked spaghetti or something. Eggy. I remember doing that too. It definitely changed as you got older. I remember dressing all in black and laying in a ditch somewhere waiting for cars to go by and then running, getting all tangled up with your friends because you couldn't see them because everybody was dressed in black. It was great. It was always good when the car stopped and the dad got out, whoever it was. I can remember this one time, it was actually a station wagon and it was raining and we were, going above and beyond to just be stupid. And hey, Aiden, welcome in. And we threw the eggs and we just pelted it. I can still remember how it said, pow, 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 pow. It was one of those like, pow, 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 pow. And I think it was the last hit, 2 eggs hit at the same time. So it was a great finish. And all of a sudden, and just, I can remember how the tires sounded because you head down and I remember how the tires sounded as they slowed down on that wet gravel. And then the door opened. That old station wagon door swung open and that foot came out, hit that rain, that wet road. Out he came, man. You kids better get out of here. And just yelling all this stuff. Great cussing. It was fantastic. And of course, if we had just laid still, if we had just not moved, if we had not like, or whatever, because we're kids, we certainly weren't trained, mercenaries or anything. You know, we were probably 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And, you know, and you hear all this stuff, you know, this is well-trained stuff like, nobody say anything. You're hearing all this stuff. And of course you're making noise so he can hear you. And then he walks up, he comes around the back of the station wagon. And, you know, I'm listening to this. Of course I didn't see it because I had my head down. In the ditch, in a wet ditch, in the leaves and God knows what else. Anyway, he came around and you could tell he was getting closer, not only by the steps, but his voice was getting louder, you know. You kids, you know, blah, 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 he yelled all this stuff. I know your names. I mean, just whatever dads yell when they're mad in the rain. And they just got their station wagon pelted with eggs. But I remember he said, I still don't remember what he said. It was just the sound of it was just so guttural and angry and, you know, wet dad, you know. And everybody, I don't know what it was, but it must have hit an exact chord of, you know, you're screwed and you better run. That whatever that note is, he hit it perfectly. Hey, crossover, welcome in. Hey, Scout's Life, how you doing, sweetie? Anna, how you doing? Ian, Brian, it's my goodness, so many wonderful people in here. So anyway, so whatever he said, it must have hit the exact note that it just pushed the button that just without knowledge whatsoever, from brain connected to feet or ass connected to your head, whatever it was, everybody just got up and just started running in different directions. And we're bumping into each other. We're slipping on the leaves. And, you know, we're trying to go. And he's like grabbing at ankles. And he's, you know, I know you, Tommy McDonough. I know you. I'll talk to your dad in the morning. Ah, you're screaming. And he gets a piece of you, you know, and you're banging into each other. Anyway, running into trees and stuff. And everybody just scattered across the field that had been plowed. So it's really slippery and it's rainy. And, you know, there's this half corn hanging, you know, stalks. You know how a field looks after it's been cleaned. Anyhow, Halloween. And I think the year after that is when they started steadily setting New York on fire. This was in the 70s. And it was from then on, it was hell night. Hell night. And it was ugly and mean things happened and people did really awful things. And, you know, look at where we are now. So there we go. So anyway, happy Halloween. However you celebrate it, please don't celebrate it like that. Hello, Maggie. Welcome in. Hey, Henry, how you doing? So again, I'm going to go over this and please keep putting up your traditions, your favorite traditions, what you did. Have you had a chance to give out candy to trick-or-treaters? Was it being, you know, what did you have a favorite trick-or-treating story? You know, did you have a Charlie Brown experience? Did you have more of a Tim Burton experience? Because if you did, I want to hear that one. Did you have like your typical, how would I explain it? Maybe like a Norman Rockwell Halloween. Do you have a memory that would fall under that category? I do. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of those. I think that's pretty cool. Being a dad and how darn cute it is, the little ones, and how inventive the costume have become. Yes, exactly. You know, and again, it's not so much buying the stuff. Hey, Henry, trick-or-treaters don't come down my driveway half a mile through trees and live bats. Yep. You know, maybe they need to be enticed. Maybe you need to do, you know, like do a trail of bubble gum or something, or, you know, Snickers or one of those mini bite things, whatever. Do that and just trail them in. Listen, I've got stories. I lived in the senior community, believe it or not, in the senior community where nobody told me that they weren't allowed to trick or treat. So every year I'm buying big old bowl candy, you know, and I mean, candy, Reese's peanut butter cups. I mean, come on now, you know, Snickers, these kind of things. Buying all this, and Mario never told me. He just ate the candy. And I think we're 7 years in or something like that. He finally tells me they're not allowed to trick or treat here. And he just kind of laughed. You little shit. But anyway, bad respect. Either way, one year I dressed up fully as a witch. I usually do every year. It's a witchual. Drum roll. Thank you very much. And here I am in full garb, combat boots and whatnot. Big old hat. Lovely. It was lovely. Okay. And I just got so mad because the kids would come up the street. And then at the end of the street, they would turn around, do a U-turn and leave. And I'm like, hey. So I had like this big old bowl of fog stuff. I mean, there's, projection on the garage. There's pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, the whole shebang. And they're not coming. So I'm like, that's it. I'm going for them. And then the little start running. So I'm chasing after these kids on Halloween night, going down through the senior community where all the lights are out because they don't want to be bothered. And I'm screaming at these kids, take the candy, take the candy. And I'm chasing the kids, just chucking handfuls of, And that year I had the sticky spiders, like you can throw them and you go thwap, and they'll stick to the wall, and then, and then you can pull them back and they'll thwap. You can do it again, it sticks. Slimy snakes and such. So I'm throwing handfuls of Snickers and snakes and all kind of stuff at these kids, and they're just running faster. And I'm like, that's it. That's last time. So I don't buy a lot of candy now. I still dress up though, because why not? All right, so let's get everybody in here. I don't see Steven yet. Is Steven here? And I just don't see him. Are you hiding down there, sir? Hold on 1 second. There he is. Oh, I see him now. There he is. Are you practicing your magic again, Mr. Stockton? Yes. Okay. Well, very well done. Well done. Get in here. Mr. Steve Stockton, everybody. If you don't know the man, I don't know what rock you live under, but, we appreciate rocks here. But if you don't know Steve Stockton is an author. He is a wonderful storyteller. He is my friend. He is a new daddy of Holden, who is the most perfect child. Come on. And it's going to have the most wonderful life and the best stories ever. And he's got the prettiest, just most wonderful mommy. And, all that going on, we can't forget that Steve is got wonderful YouTube channels, missing person. I never get the name right. No matter every time. It's just like him in the book. I can't say it. Anyway, he's got YouTube channels. Mr. Steve Stockton, get in here, my friend. You say it.
Hey, what's going on?
Why can't I say it? Why can't I say it?
Tales Untold and 13 Past Midnight, where this broadcast is being simulcast tonight.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
I got a Halloween story I want to tell you.
Oh, please do. Listen, we're doing haunted houses tonight. And I can't wait to hear your Halloween story. But I'm also want to welcome all these wonderful people. And will you help me do that first, Mr. Stockton?
I will. Over on 13 Past Midnight, it looks like we've got Maggie Marin from England, Tales Told in the Dark, Cassie, and UFO Bigfoot sitting over there. Y'all can come over here. It doesn't matter. It's all the same show.
Either or both. Both. Just hit the like. Hit the like in both channels. That would be great.
Yeah,
can y'all hear me okay? 5-5. Hi, sweetie.
Howie Snyder, Hanging AZ, Rose Moments, Sir Brian Bowden in the house.
Hey, Bri. Bowden.
Say hi to RP Scott. John Keller, Connecticut's Most Wanted here.
Marie.
Nelson, Ian, myself. And Edna's in the house. Scott's live.
Hey,
Scott. I saw what you said. I was in the bedroom back there. I already had Holden's daddy up there, so I added Nicole's husband to it.
There you go.
Under name there.
I just love it. How are they, by the way?
They're doing good. He's been up all day. He was fighting sleep and grumpy, and finally went to sleep. So he's had his days and nights turned around. I think he finally got it straightened out. So hopefully,
I felt exactly the same way. You can't fault him a bit. I've been grumpy all day, and I need a nap, and I just didn't get one. So we're gonna get what we're gonna get tonight.
Hey, D-Rock and Marie Palmer, how you doing?
Hey, Marie.
Hey, D-Rock. Let me tell you this story real quick.
All right,
it was Halloween night. I was about 10, 11 years old, and I'd got this idea out of a comic book. We took my little red radio flyer wagon and hauled about 3 loads of gravel down the road. I lived on a rural country road that dead-ended into the lake. There's this real sharp curve and a big old tree there. We'd always hang something weird out of the tree on Halloween, overgrown with bushes and trees and stuff on both sides. So I took a can of spray paint and painted a big black blob in the middle of the road. And then I meticulously made this big danger-looking sign that said, "Warning, hole."
Oh, gosh.
I spray painted a black blob on the pavement to look like the hole. I had the sign sitting there by the tree. We put about 3 kids' wagon loads of gravels on either side of said fake hole, and then we hid in the bushes to wait. Sure enough, some guy, and this is one of those spots where teenagers would come down there at night to party down at the lake. They could build a fire and hang out and drink beer and do all this stuff they weren't supposed to do. So anyway, we're sitting there waiting. Finally, this guy comes tearing down through there in a brand new shiny Camaro. This would have been
Oh, wow.
75, 76, something like
Oh,
that.
brand new
Maybe
shiny
before
Camaro.
that. Anyway, he sees the sign and the what he thinks is a hole. He hits the brakes. And the idea was for him to skid, across the hole. But instead, he high-sided and went off into the weeds there. And thankfully, we had hidden on the low side of the curve. Otherwise, he would have ran the hell over us. Well, he gets out, and he is pissed. He's got on a pair of dingo boots. We were hiding in the weeds.
Bingo.
And he got so close, I could see the moonlight reflecting in those damn dingo boots. And we're like biting our hands to keep from laughing because he's cussing up a storm. You little a-holes, I'm going to find you. And when I do, I'm going to beat your butts. And he never did find us. We were, within inches of him. But that was kind of a spectacular prank. I hope
That
the
is.
statute of limitations has run on that one. And we did the eggings and the toilet papering
Oh, shoot.
and all that good stuff too.
I just touched the touch screen. I shouldn't have touched it. The touch screen.
Do not
How
touch
you
the
doing?
touch screen.
Antichrist, you're going to have a hard time doing that one, sweetie. Can't have mine. Hands off. There you go. Move on. You ain't getting through this late, baby.
I've already spoken for her. Sorry.
Hey, Henry, how you doing? Welcome to see Henry's got a channel. Throw your channel up here, guys. Scott's Life and Henry and Midwest. And how you doing, D-Rock? Good to see you. So that's a good one. That's a good one. While you were telling me that, I was thinking about this one, the Grundack. I'll tell it real quick. So anyway, used to date this crazy. He was just completely nuts. He's a rock and roller and played a mean guitar. So enough said. Anyway, we were all hanging out and it was raining. It's time between gigs. You're trying to kill time when you got to get back on stage. It was one of those we were doing like 4 or 5 days in a row. It's killing and it's raining. I mean, torrential downpour. The streets are running with a little bit of water anyway. So one of the guys has a Daniel Boone hat and he got a fishing pole and attached a Daniel Boone to the fishing pole. And he sat on the other side of the road. And when cars would come in this real slow road, cars would come and he'd reel in that Daniel Boone raccoon skin cap, and it looked like something crossing the road. And he would just, when the cars would stop to let it get across, he would stop. And then this one car would like pull up a little bit. It's raining. It's always funny because it's raining, because if people get out of the car, they're getting wet, and it adds to it, I guess, But these jerks, and then the rest of the band is sitting in the van and in the cars that they owned across the street in the parking lot watching this whole thing. So this one night, this guy gets out and he's trying to see if he can get the animal to scurry across because he didn't want to run over it. It's a hat. Anyway, he had to be there. It was funny as all get out. But the stupid things you do. That one guy he got a hold of one of us in the back of his like black like a sweatshirt. He had a hold of it, and we, not one of us stayed to stick up for our friend. We're gone, got a hold of that one kid. That's it. I mean, you're on your own, you know what I mean? So should we bring Lynn in here so she can.
Yeah, maybe she's got a good Halloween prank she can tell us.
I bet you she does, but she also has some lovely books. Now, when I met her, I had found out about Omnipresent, which is an extremely scary story, a great book about a house she moved into that was so haunted she could not stay. And I mean, it wasn't just ghosts; it was something a little bit, let's say, angrier and a lot more powerful. But then it continued on. But she also has some other good books. One of them is called The Colors of Heaven, and the other one is The Gap. And both of those are doing very well on Amazon, just like Omnipresent. But tonight she's here to talk to us about that. We're going to talk a little bit about some other, haunted houses that might be local to you. So we've got a full show for you. Let's bring in wonderful author, medium. She is so many other abilities and knowledge from just her experience too. And when she comes on, I think we've got about 150 years on here, don't we? Experience wise. Steve did we say, welcome, please, Lynn Monet. How you doing, sweetheart? You look so beautiful. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. I can't hear you, sweetheart. You're muted.
Said hi, everybody. I like to wear this because it makes my boobs look good. So
it looks,
anyway,
your boobs make my logo look wonderful.
Steve was running late because he was on diaper duty. So we just figured he was taking care of
Actually, I
that.
was sterilizing bottles, but close enough.
There you
No
go.
doubt.
There you go.
No doubt. Oh, you're so lucky. Like I said, if I'm in your area, I definitely offer my babysitting services if ever
Thank
you
you.
need. And yeah, definitely that. I enjoyed hearing your stories for Halloween.
Do you have one?
You know, my family was kind of weird. My dad used to put vampire blood when it first came out all over his face, and he'd lay down in the middle of the road. And and just because he thought it was funny. But my father, of course, had alcohol issues as well. But I was always afraid of getting in trouble. I was always the kid that if they're giving out candy bars, I'd take my mask off and go back for a second time because I wanted that good candy. I liked being able to ride my bike from one end of the neighborhood to the other. You know, Halloween was my favorite. Was my favorite holiday because of being able, for one thing, to decorate outside, and then having the costume to wear and being able to go and get as much candy as you want until you can't stop, and then you eat it for weeks, and you enjoy it that way. And also, Chad, I can't see the chat, so if anybody's saying hello, I'm definitely a little bit of trivia about Lynn. I bet.
Let me stop you real quick. Just for 1 second, I want to say thank you, mods, because they just had to bake a dozen of those right there. They baked a very quick dozen of shut the fuck up cakes. I appreciate it. Everybody say thank you to the mods in here. They are wonderful. And just when you think they're not looking at you, I'm telling you what, they've got you in their crosshairs. So beware, be kind, and be decent humans. Or don't bother coming up in here because it ain't gonna work. Not up in here. All right, sweetheart, please go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
No, fine. Just a little bit of trivia. I'm gonna let everybody try to guess, 5 people, of what Lynn's favorite candy is, and still is.
And still is. Smarties. Do you remember Smarties?
Hi, Brian. I do remember. They still have Smarties. They still have those Neckos too. So any guesses?
Yellow was my favorite. Yellow and the chocolate in the Necco wafers.
And the Necco wafers.
I ate them in a certain order. I would eat usually the chocolate first. I really liked hated the pink. It tastes like Pepto-Bismol.
It did taste like Pepto-Bismol.
And I didn't understand that. But the chocolate one and the banana one, I always liked those. And then, eventually I think I would eat the white ones very last.
Yeah. And any guesses? And I'll
Jelly Bellies. Jelly Bellies. We got a Jelly Belly.
I do love Jelly Bellies, but it's not my favorite. But
I think it was banana. Slow boy. How you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. Circus peanuts. Oh, I got a story. Oh gosh, I ate a whole bag of those driving from Alabama to Kentucky one time. I'll never eat them again. The most confounded Halloween candy ever, I think. Oh, look at that Junior Mints. Look at those. Mints. Are those pumpkin flavored?
The limited edition Halloween Junior Mints.
No way. Oh,
are they pumpkin flavored?
No, but they're black and orange. The chocolate is, I don't know how they did that, but it's still chocolate, and
that's not it.
It doesn't taste black. It tastes like Junior Mints, but this is new.
Maybe that's a closer one.
Ooh. That's wonderful. My favorite candy in the whole wide world is
Jujubes.
Bubble gum. I love bubble gum. I love the original flavor.
I love Hubba Bubba. Hubba Bubba. What was the one that was really big and
Bubble
soft?
Yum.
Bubble Yum.
Oh, yeah, Bubble Yum.
Gosh, that was so good when it came out.
Bazooka's a little bit hard and has a different flavor, but I love the double bubble flavor. And I am going to be 61 years old in May. And I am still chewing and cracking and blowing bubbles, and I will still be doing it someday when I get into the skilled facility and I'm an old fart in diapers. I'll still be eating that my bubble gum, and I love the gum balls with the crunchy outside too. But it's definitely my favorite by far is bubble gum over chocolate or anything else.
Bazooka. Is that the one that had the comic? It had the guy with the
square, the rectangle.
Bazooka Joe.
Yeah, that one's kind of hard to chew for me now because they
York
make it so
peppermint
hard.
patties.
Yeah, that was like the gum that came with trading cards. It was like cardboard, and you kind of had to work at it.
I like those. I like the Junior Mints too because it doesn't have so much of the peppermint. It's just a little more chocolate. Double dipped would be really good. I like an Almond Joy, and I like a Mound. Sometimes you want dark chocolate. Sometimes you want the milk chocolate, and the other one I can't remember what kind of chocolate it had. I want to say dark chocolate, but it was more creamy. Was a Bounty. Remember those?
Oh, yes,
I like
I
those a
do.
lot.
I do.
And I like the Charleston Chew and just so many. And I think stuff used to be
Those are
bigger
good.
back then. Hershey
Even the
bars.
ones that other people didn't like.
They were
Bit of
bigger.
Honey, Mary Jane's, all those. It was all good.
Yeah.
Yep,
They weren't doing shrinkflation back then.
Apples.
So
Echo. Hey, honey. How you doing?
yep. You know, it's
Three
family
Musketeers.
and
Yep.
family. I've made my own family traditions as I've become a mom
Candy
with my
cigarettes.
kids. So of course we decorate Halloween like sugar cookies
1940s.
and make them. And I always make the red candied apples and pass them out to the neighbors with the cookies every year. So yeah, that's kind of what I do with my kids.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
You don't. I remember that commercial. That's funny.
Mounds don't. Whatchamacallit? I remember that one. Wasn't that one like a almost it was a nougat, but it was whipped. So it was
those are
real.
still out.
It was
They still
real
have
kind of
those.
frothy, wasn't it? And then gosh, what was that other one? There was one, I can never remember the name of it. It was one candy bar, but it had 5 different sections, and each section had something different in it.
The Take 5, was that it?
Oh man, that could have been. But I still love Mr. Goodbar.
There was another one called the Whatchamacallit that was
Yep.
like
We got it right here. D-Rock said that one.
Clark
and
bars, and
yeah,
Zagnut bars, Butterfinger, Baby
yep.
Ruth.
Zero bars.
Baby Ruth. I forgot all
Zero
about
bars
Baby
with
Ruth.
the white chocolate.
Yep, Zagnut. And gosh, so many. Gosh, candy. We should have gotten the candy business, you know? I mean, you know, there's some we ought to do that one night on Monday Madness. I mean, it's not haunted. I'm sure we can find a ghost in there somewhere, but the story of the chocolate candy magnets, you know, like if you ever watched one of those history, the men who built America kind of thing, or whatever you call it, and the story of the Mars and Hershey and all of these candy people, Clark, you know, it ruthless. I mean, honestly, very, you know, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So there's got to be a ghost in there somewhere. Go ahead, sweetie.
So it wasn't like Willy Wonka then.
Well, you know what I mean? It had a lot of hard lefts in it, like Willy Wonka, but probably not as colorful and fanciful. You know what I mean? But just as well, it's business, you know. And I mean, just like anything, you look at the electricity. I mean, you know, Edison was a son of a gun, and stolen patents and stolen ideas and stolen recipes and all of this stuff. I find it fascinating, you know, some of these people just coming up with how to preserve cheese long enough so people can hold cheese, and they're trying to put it in a can, and they're trying to do all these different things, and finally they come up with like a cheese whiz, you know, that kind of thing, to put it in a can just so people can keep cheese, you know, without refrigeration and stuff. So I mean, just fascinating, wild stuff. And half of these people did it in a one room kind of boarding house situation with the, you know, where you had to plug into the light socket above the table, and that's where everything got plugged in, that one socket that hung down over the, you know, the table, almost like what was that show with Cramden's, Ralph Cramden, To the Moon, Alice. What was it?
Oh,
Honeymooners.
There you go, Honeymooners.
Yes.
You know, like their little apartment. To me, as a kid growing up, seeing that, the Bowery Boys, I think I Love Lucy had the best. Thinking about the shows that were out then, and all of these shows that were put out that were like done in a one-room studio kind of thing. So I, as growing up as a kid, I thought everybody lived in one of these stinking little apartments if you lived in the city, or you know. And then you see these great big houses out in the country like Connecticut and stuff like that. My gosh, these farms, and it was different, you know. I think your perception of the world as a kid and now, it must be just so confusing for kids, you know. Wonderful at the same time, but you know, there's too much. Where we were more focused, we only had so much to look at, you know what I mean? And now kids can just look in every direction. You don't know what the hell they're, you know. Gosh, they could be doing like some kind of Star Wars, you know, The Last Frontier thing, or they could be, you know, Dora the Explorer or Sesame Street. I mean, we just had a couple of things, and I think it really was such a different perception on things, you know. So when we were talking about Halloween, we had the Peanuts, we had, you know, a couple of shows and cartoons and Bugs Bunnies, and that little witch. Do you remember that witch, Steve, that used to come in when she took off on the broom, her hairpins would dance in the air for a minute?
Yeah.
And then we had that monster that
The big orange monster with the red Converse tennis shoes.
We had all those kind of things, and now it's just, we got Freddy and Hellraiser and Michael and just so many different things. It's kind of took it a big, and decorations have gotten crazy because now you've got these 14-foot clowns, with holding kids by the ankles and stuff like that. It's not just witches and all this other stuff. It's gotten really crazy, and I'm wondering if it's ever going to swing back to where it's just the simplistic stuff. People decorate.
So. No. Guy up the street's got a life-size headless horseman. It has a skeletal horse with a headless skeleton on.
Oh, does he?
Holding a pumpkin. I mean, it's probably bigger than life size. It's probably.
Is it like one of those air ones?
I'll get a picture of it next time. No.
Those air ones solid. That you pump air into it so they can have them real big, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's looks like a real.
Oh wow!
Real skeletons. It's scary.
Wow. Straight pumpkin. Yep. What's going on? Be the guest on Conflict Radio. Oh, you're going to be on Conflict on Thursday. Everybody go see Sir Bowden over there. Conflict Radio is on YouTube, and Sir Bowden will be there on Thursday. Okay, so tonight we're talking a lot about haunted houses. If you've ever lived in a haunted house, just give me a 1 in the chat. If you've ever lived in a one. You don't have to give me a 1 for each haunted house. There you go. Oh, balloons. My goodness. Where did those come from? That is so cool.
I have no idea.
What did you do? Did you see that? Oh my gosh. First we got Steve, going invisible, and now you've got balloons. How in the world did you do that?
I didn't touch anything. I swear. I have no idea.
You're haunted now.
It's haunted now.
Yeah.
I'm gosh, sure. Look at all these ones coming.
I'm sure that Bob is here somewhere because he likes to hang out and watch people, and he's got his little feet going.
She held up 3 fingers. Hold up 3 fingers. In one hand, on one hand. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. 3 fingers. See, I don't know.
Didn't do it again.
Oh, using an iPhone.
Never seen that.
Ran out of letters.
Okay, I've never seen that happen before.
I haven't either. So, woohoo!
I thought what we could do tonight to make it fun is I went around and I thought, so many people I know, of course. I mean, I'm kind of biased a little bit because my group is made out of a lot of paranormal people and people that are interested in history and haunted houses and things like that. So if you took a poll among us to like how many people have heard people living in haunted houses, of course it's going to be skew. You'd have to ask people on, random out of public, But I thought I figure every town has got one. Every town has got the legend. And everybody here on this panel has lived at least for a short amount of time in a haunted house. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be neat that what we could do is we want to talk about your books. And since there's 2 of them, let's do it in 4 parts and introduce everybody and refresh our memories about the beginning and when you first got in the house and started coming into the stuff that where you saw, oh my gosh, something's going on. And then the results of that one. And then the new book is called What Happens Next? Omnipresent.
The Omnipresent, that one's out. The new book that's coming out is Omnipresent 111 Becca Dawn Drive.
Okay, so there's 3.
Yes,
that's a whole series.
There's a 4th one coming out after the first of year of the Omnipresent No Place Like Home. So I'm on it. This other one's been delayed coming out. It's been ready for a year and a half, but I've had some trouble with editing, and of course, my sister passing I'm so sorry. It just sat there. So it's I have 2 of them coming out pretty close, back to back. So there'll be 4 books out of 5 finished in the Omnipresent series, but I'll be happy to talk about the 111 Becca Dawn Drive because that's a haunted house that nobody's heard about yet.
Sounds wonderful. So however you want to do it, but what I figured what we could do is let's do that. We could refresh them through, but in between I've got 2 to 3 minute little snippets of interviews that local news stations did in their town on haunted house, and so that way we'll get a lot of different perspectives. I've got about 5 or 6 of them, so we can have little breaks in between. I'm going to get some hot water and all that kind of stuff, and you can go get snacks or listen to these stories because they're fantastic. So Lynn, you take it away, and in between we'll do a couple of little snippets of these wonderful haunted houses all around the United States. So go right ahead, take it away.
Okay.
It's all you.
That sounds great. As everybody knows, I did grow up in a haunted house, and the first incident that I had with my brother and I seeing the misting in the room, and it was his friend that ended up had passed away. Also, the book, I'm kind of moving forward to get to where I'm currently at, because a lot of people have heard these other things over and over. So, Omnipresent, of course, is a book that was based on a house that I purchased as a single mother with 2 children, and it was so haunted that I was never able to move into it. The book that followed it, Omnipresent, What Happened Next, followed up with me contacting the people that had owned the house before me, talking about the things that was happening with their children. And then I went through a divorce, and I was in a hurry to get out of the house that I was living in, and everything was so expensive. And I found this townhouse that said it was remodeled. I did the virtual walkthrough thing, and the price was right, and I was afraid it was going to go quickly. So I literally met the management with my deposit, my first month's rent, and they were coming with the lease, and I went sight unseen. I went there, I literally walked through the house for 10 minutes, looked through, everything seemed in good, it was in a nice area, it seemed to be in good condition. I said, I'll take it. Now, I did notice that in the kitchen that some of the things hadn't been cleaned yet, and they said that those would be cleaned before I would move in. They just needed 2 more days to get things cleaned up. And I said, okay, fine. So 2 days later, I go and I pick up the keys, and I start taking my stuff over to the house. And I'm noticing that the inside of the refrigerator is still dirty. And I'm noticing that the inside of the oven hasn't been cleaned, and the bathroom upstairs still has chemicals all in it. And it wasn't cleaned either. So I contacted the management company, and I said to them, I said, look, you said that this place was going to be move-in ready, and it's not. The maid didn't finish cleaning it, and I'm not even going to take a shower in this shower. I'm not able to move in completely until this is done, for you to do it. And I went round and round with them, and there were some problems with getting a hold of the cleaning lady. So they finally gave me her direct number so that I could make arrangements with her to come at a time that was convenient. While I was there, I was putting away some things in the house, like my clothes and stuff that I could hang up in the closet, since I couldn't put away any dishes or towels or anything. And as I'm standing in the master bedroom hanging up the clothes, I noticed out of my peripheral vision, this little girl comes and stands in the doorway. And she looked to be maybe about 10 or 11 years old. She was in this beautiful white dress, brown long hair with tied back with a big bow in the back. And she had those little buttons down the sides of her shoes. And I said to her, I said, hi there. She's just watching me hang up my clothes. And she turned, and she had this frightened look on her face, and she took off. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've, got a little girl in the house, and, I need to clean this out and do a blessing anyway. So that day I went home to get a second load before picking up my daughter from school, and I get a call back from the maid. And she said to me, I know this is going to sound really, really weird. She said, but please do not move into that townhouse. And I'm like, well, why? And she says, because
something you always want to hear from your,
yes,
from a cleaning lady. Yeah.
Yeah, especially since I had already dealt with this issue, and fortunately I never had to move into that house. This one, I had just signed a lease for a year and had to live in it. So she told me, she said, please do not move into that house. And I said, I have no choice. I said, what do you mean it's haunted? I said, I've seen the little girl. And she says, yes, but it's not the little girl that you have to worry about. She says, it's the slender, tall man with the black eyes that mumbles, and he's usually in the bathroom or in the kitchen area. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God. Well, of course I'm pulling over too, because my heart is in my throat. And I'm like, this can't possibly be happening again. And this time I have nowhere to go, and not enough time to find another place to get out of the lease or anything like that. I was stuck. I mean, I had 10 days to move from where I was at. So, I told her, I said,
not to stop you or anything, but again, I think we kind of gloss over the importance of how deeply that affects families. You know what I mean? It's you're moving in, you've got It took everything in your power to get in there. Your money, your bank accounts are sucked dry. You've used up all your friends with station wagons and pickup truck favors. You've done all the, and you're in there. Your stuff is still in boxes, and all of a sudden you've got a ghost, and you're like, oh no. You know what I mean,
Exactly.
Steve? And sometimes you don't know right away either. At least you started finding out at the very beginning, but it's still it's not a great, prize. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Well, you,
still a little too late almost,
yeah, I did tell her, I said, I heard mumbling when I was in the kitchen, but I thought that because the kitchen window faced a parking lot, that maybe it was somebody on their cell phone just trying to talk low outside. But it turned out that this entire townhouse, it was a row of 10 townhouses, each of them connected. The entire building was haunted. However, my apartment, my townhouse was where the portal was, that the things were coming in and going in and out. And also the one next door to mine had much more activity in it than mine did. And I actually got a picture. It's the first time that I've ever seen a naked ghost, because even when you're getting ready to cross over, your loved ones come, they do have clothes on because nobody wants to see mom naked. But this is the first time that I've ever seen a naked ghost. I have pictures of him. And the thing that I think is funny is that here he is. He's going from townhouse to townhouse, pulling down the sheets of women's beds and crawling in bed with them. And it wasn't just women. He was also groping men. And here I have a picture of him, and he's actually naked but covering his Johnson. So here he's trying to flash everybody with it, and all of a sudden he gets his moment to be on film, and he wants to be modest all of a sudden. But
That's crazy.
what this did do is that it helped me to learn that a lot of times when you have a home that is connected with other homes, apartments like one below, side by side kind of thing, or one above, that a lot of times when you go into clear spirits, because I tried clearing it over and over, and they would just go next door for a few minutes or, whatever. And then as soon as we were done clearing, they would come right back. So, eventually they would come back in. And so what I had to learn to do is how to, after clearing the house, how to create almost a force field, an energetic force field, with salt and stones in the corners, and putting the salt, of course, on the thresholds of the windows and the doors, to keep them from coming back into my space, but to have them go to others. And the thing is, too, is that, people have to be careful when they do this, that if they do put that area of like a fence, like an energetic fence, that's a deterrent to them around their space, that they actually have everything out, because it will lock them in with you if you don't. But I actually had to learn how to do that. There was one point that there were 7 of the tenants and myself. We all finally got lawn chairs, and we were sitting out in a circle in the parking lot of this residence, and we all started talking about the experiences that we were having. I mean, this thing would stand next to my bed and go tap, tap, tap. And then I'd ignore it. And all of a sudden I'd feel my covers just starting to creep down. I'd grab them, I'd pull them up real quick. Then all of a sudden he'd wait a little bit, that I'd hear him go tap, tap, tap again. Did you see that?
So creepy. I did. And they're saying in chat that the reason you got balloons is you did like a peace sign or something, a rabbit ears or something like that, and you have an iPhone. And I've seen people give the thumbs up, and then all of a sudden a big blue thumbs up will pop up too. So I don't know what iPhone's got going on with these little emojis popping up. It's fun, but it usually makes people crazy because they don't know why it's happening and they can't make it happen again. So they should come with a little, I guess, book or something, law book or whatever for emojis on iPhone. But people are throwing stuff up in here too about they asked naked. So let's tap on that for a second. Lynn had a lot of things happen in that house. I mean, like, I think other people you brought in were, getting touched, and other things. And the guy on the stairs, I want you to tell that. But it was a buildup, just like we see in so many stories. It's a slow buildup. I saw another ghost story last night. I couldn't tell you where or who it was, but it was a young couple. I believe it was an old a haunting or something. They were so good back in the day. But that was happening to them. So first it's a guy that's getting the tap on the pillow next to his ear. And then when you look, you see the depression go down on the pillow and come back up.
Mhm.
And, you know, right away, you just start wiping away at it and you're looking and wondering how it's, you lay back down again. And sure enough, it happens again. And then it happens to the wife, and neither one of them are telling each other. So again, this is the part where even ghosts that don't really realize what they're doing, you know, I can't just assume walking into an unknown case whether or not the ghost realizes it can do this and is intentionally trying to get the family to fight or whatever, or are they just coming onto it naturally? You can't just assume that they have that much mindful power. You see what I mean? But most do.
Yeah, this one knew exactly what he was doing. The people that lived immediately next door to me on the right-hand side, they were telling me in the driveway about how they were sleeping, and all of a sudden the woman feels what she thought was the husband rolling over and getting a little friendly with her, and and then she's kind of rolling over and getting into the mood, and she rolls over, and all of a sudden her husband's laying there snoring, and she hits him because she's like, why were you rubbing your hands all on me and everything, and now you're sound asleep? And he's like, what are you talking about? I've been sleeping this whole time. So this thing was actually, it knew what it was doing. It was crawling in bed with people and things like that. And yeah, that was I've never.
This was an apartment complex, though. But didn't you say also that it was, once you started talking to your neighbors, you found out others very much were going through similar things?
Yes. As a matter of fact, like there were 7 of us that came together and were talking. I even had one lady that was out in the back. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I took my dog out. The dog was barking, and all of a sudden I see this woman, because we had patios that were connected with the next door neighbor, and this one was about 2 townhouses down. So she was out in the back talking on her phone very, very low, and I hear her saying, well, my neighbor's out here, so I've got to get off the phone. And she seemed very anxious and worried, and I called out to her and I said, are you okay? And she says, yeah. And I said, I wanted to ask you something. I've been having some activity in my house. Have you been noticing any activity in yours? And she just, her face, it was almost like a relief, but yet she was scared and she almost wanted to cry. And she's like, yes, do you mind going with me in my house to get my purse? She says, I am leaving. My boyfriend is out of town and I'm leaving to go to my parents' house. It was like a 2-hour drive away from her because she didn't want to come back and stay in that townhouse.
Stay in that house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that lady actually, when her boyfriend came back, showed up on my doorstep like a week or 2 later with shampoo in her hair and a towel on, because she's like, you've got to come right now. She said, that thing is in my house. So it was bothering. And the thing was, is the majority of the people that were living there were single women. They were either had, kids or whatever. So, and again, it didn't matter that it was females. I had a gentleman that was living on the left-hand side of me that he said that he would wake up because he would feel something touching his private parts, and it was disturbing to him, and he would sit up. He didn't know what it was creeping him out, and there he is all alone in the room with nobody there.
So this guy, just to catch up on it, I know you have abilities. Now again, people have to understand that a lot of times when someone with abilities is going through something in their own personal life, it's very hard for us to handle that. We usually have to reach outside the circle to get somebody else to help us through it, because we're emotionally attached to it. So we can't get fair readings or, filtered readings the correct way. We're reading too much of our own self into it. So it's better to have somebody on the outside who can see it clearly in most cases. So with this guy though, being able to move throughout the and he's just a regular human ghost. I mean, it's not like an entity. In this case, in his case, he's not an entity or an ancient or something along those lines. Typical, regular, just earthbound ghost. Okay.
Yes.
And he was able to move from place to place. There must be a connection there in that almost like cul-de-sac. I'm imagining, neighborhood type of thing, with these condos. Was he someone that committed suicide there? Did we find out about it, or what's his connection? Do we know?
I'm not sure. But one thing
Okay.
that I did notice about the townhouse that I moved into, it was older. They considered the renovations, putting new carpeting and new kitchen cabinets in it. So there were still some things that were originally there. And the thing that I thought was awkward about it is all of even the linen closets had slide locks on them. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you put slide locks on your linen closet? It's
That
not
is
like
weird.
it's not like it would come open on its own. It was shut. It was flush. It wasn't, any issue. But there were multiple ghosts in that house, and they would come through the portal in the townhouse that I was living in. They would come and go.
Had to be a portal. Had to
Oh,
be
yeah.
something there. Like, the same thing. The reason I'm asking is because I'm getting stuff when you're talking, and they're showing me stuff like Bill Bean's situation. Bill Bean's situation, real quick. He's very busy. I mean, I think he's like going 24/7 nowadays. Just heard from him the other day, and the man is so busy, he's not even kidding. You know what I mean? It's just so he doesn't even have time to take care of his own stuff. I mean, and he's quite the man. Anyway, he started at a young age, haunted house, build up. He had multiple things. One of them happened to be demonic. It was attached to the land, went throughout. He found out years later, very much your situation. It was going through the whole development. We're hearing lots and more of those, like the oh gosh, what was it, Steve? The black something graveyard. Same thing. They built on top of the grave. Poltergeist, similar, that based on real events that actually happened at the same time. The Black Hope, it was Black Hope, the Black Hope graveyard situation, the development on that, similar to yours, going around, all of them, and all of them are trying to be quiet. Nobody wants to talk about it. People are meeting it when they find out after. You too, your neighbor across the way or whatever. It is a very emotional release of all that trauma and drama and emotion and everything else. Steve, what did you want to say anything about this part? So I find it so interesting, these haunted towns, almost haunted developments, apartment complexes and things. What do you want to say?
It's the land. That's that way here. There's Nicole lived in some new apartments when she was a small child. Everything there was haunted. And we drove up by there one day, and I said, this place doesn't feel right. And she said, oh, this is where the haunted apartment was. And you could tell just as soon as you went down that street, probably something going back to the Revolutionary War or before. There's just, as Stephen King would say, the land is soured.
Sour soil. Sour soil comes up in Cabin 22, and we are going to be starting to listen to that. One of the chapters is called Sour Soil. But that is going to be on Tuesday night. We're going to start it at 8 p.m. Please be here for the live. It's going to go 6 consecutive nights. If you've heard the story, please get in the chat and talk to other people who are going to hear it for the first time. I think it's a great haunted tale for Halloween.
Great story.
Bring your kids, bring snacks. We've got recipes. I'll show you a couple later for bacon caramel popcorn, and we've got Mrs. McGee's apple pie moonshine. It's really good. We have an adult version, and we have a virgin version. That's hard to say. But are you saying, Sir Bowden, that you just got grabbed? Are you remembering a time that you would have been grabbed, or are you asking a question? I'm not sure. Can you clarify, please? In the meantime, I want to tap you right there for a second, Lynn, and I want to pick back up on that. But I wanted to show everybody a local news, and I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, it's great to learn about haunted houses that we haven't really heard about before. What's the haunted house in your neighborhood? What's the scuttlebutt? What's the legend? What's the one that you walk on the other side of the street to get away from? That kind of thing when you're kids, because I think that adds to Halloween. I think that adds to a lot of our Halloween memories, our nostalgia, because that's the one that, as a group, with all your pillowcases full of candy and your mask is all sweaty and maybe the little rubber band on the back broke or whatever, you're tripping over your sheet because you're a ghost or a bum or a hobo or something, and you come up to that house and somebody dares you, go knock on the door, Go knock on the door. Or worse yet, go knocking, what was it, ditch and dive or ding dong ditch? We
Ding
rang
Ding
the
dong
doorbell.
ditch. Yeah, ding dong ditch.
You know, where everybody's daring you. And there's so many great Halloween stories that have that kind of premise, you know, with that haunted house. So let's check on this first one. I think this first one is in, this might be in Ontario, but this might also, yeah, this is the one that goes all the way back. Talk about your nostalgia. I think this is from 1962, 60, maybe 60. No, it can't be. Can't be that old. It's pretty old, though. Maybe they'll say. But this one is CTV News Archive in Toronto, Little Haunted House. And I think it's so neat to see the couple. It goes back to the times of like your Donna Reed, Your Father Knows Best, your, what was My Three Sons, all of those. I mean, you're probably too young to remember these, but if you do, then you know exactly what I mean. And here they are talking on local TV news. And I think they were more serious then than they are now. And I wonder what happened to the consciousness there. This is interesting in so many different ways. So let me see if I can share this. If you need to get hot water in your tea, or you need to go make a sandwich or get another cold one out of the fridge, please do. And I'm going to get some more hot water for my tea. But this is so neat. I can't believe I found it either. Here we go. Let me get the right one. Oh, I'm pushing buttons. Speaking of pushing buttons, where's Ted? Where's Ted been? I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he's okay. If you see him in another chat or something, tell him that Cisco was sending love. Okay, here we go. Get it big. You guys tell me if you can hear this now. 5-5.
Norman, I happen to know that you spent the night in a house in Toronto the other night, a house that's supposed to be haunted.
Uh-oh.
You don't have to be a superstar to spin your favorite slots on Hard Rock Bet.
Oh, good, because I'm not.
And most of your haunted house stories have humorous connotations. This one really doesn't, although it does have all the characteristics of a classic ghost yarn. Right down to the nearby graveyard, the crowds who think the whole thing is screamingly funny every day and every night since the story broke. But inside, it's a story of a family terrified by night and harassed all the time. The Hawkins family and their 2 children.
Well, on the Monday night, that's when it first started, with these loud screams in the attic. And I got up out of bed, and as soon as I got up, they stopped. And I went down the hall to put the light on to check on the children to see if they were sleeping in bed, and they were all fine. And I went downstairs to check on the cat, because the cat was out that night. And I thought maybe it was a couple of cats in an alley fight, like, you know.
Oh, you mean you were lying, you were asleep at the time, were you?
That's right, and it woke me.
And you just heard a scream?
No, screams and moans at the same time.
Could you describe it to me?
It went, ow, hee, ow.
We laid there for about 20 minutes listening to the screaming. I was too scared to move, to be honest with you. I finally got up enough nerve and turned on the light here. And as soon as I stepped out of bed, it stopped.
What did you do after you got out of bed?
Well, we went to the phone here in the hall, and I phoned my mother downstairs while Roy got dressed. And Mom and Dad came running up, and my husband and my father went up in the attic and checked the attic for anything that was up there. And there wasn't a thing up there.
When you got up there, did you hear any sounds?
No.
Did you see anything unusual?
No.
Did you have a sense of anything odd being in the attic?
Well, at that time, I think we were really scared. I don't think we would have felt anything anyway.
Then on the Tuesday morning, my husband got up and went to work, and I was the only one in the house with the 2 children. I laid here in bed, and I was sort of dozing off to sleep. And as I was dozing, I had to wake because something just was looking over me. You know, I couldn't explain it, but something just woke me up. And then I dozed back off to sleep again, and it just felt like, as I was laying there, something walked right through my body, and I went completely cold.
Was there a change in the temperature in the room?
No, I didn't notice a change in the temperature of the room. I noticed that I was cold, and I had to get covered up because I was just freezing.
Any screams at that time?
No, no screams whatsoever.
This was in the daytime.
This was about 7 o'clock in the morning.
You told me, Mrs. Hawkins, that you felt suddenly cold the morning you were lying here in the bed.
That's right.
As if something had walked through your body. Those were your words.
That's right.
Was there ever again a dramatic change in temperature in this house?
Yes, off and on there has been ever since this has started. You'll be standing there and there'll be a cold breeze come and brush right by you.
Did either of you ever see anything unusual?
Yes, we did. The one night I was making a phone call by the phone there in the hall, and my husband was in sitting watching Tarzan. And I called him to the hall. I said, I see a light come down out of the attic and come under the attic door and float in by our beds here. And he said I was overtired and to come on and sit down and watch Tarzan. Finally, he looked into the bedroom, and here was this light floating around here by the bed.
What did you see, Mr. Hawkins?
Well, I saw this light. It's more or less glare. That's how I class it anyway.
How big?
About the size of a 50-cent piece.
And was it just sort of reflected on the wall, or did it seem to be
No,
floating
it
in space?
seemed to be floating right here by the bed, and then all of a sudden it faded out and disappeared.
Do you believe that your house is haunted, Mrs. Hawkins?
Well, I wouldn't actually say it was haunted, but if somebody can come up with an explanation for it, well, that's fine.
These are the Reverends Tom and Pat Bartlett of the Star of Progress Spiritual Church in West Toronto. Can you explain it, Mrs. Bartlett?
Because of the law of spirit return, it could be a spirit who has lived here at some time and returned for some reason. This person could be already out of their body, or as people would say, they have died. Or it could be the spirit return of a person who is still living upon this earth, and this would be called astral projection.
This is the stairway leading to the attic of the Hawkins home, from whence came the strange sounds, the screams, and the footsteps. The Reverends Bartlett came to the top of these stairs in the attic here where I'm standing now. It was pitch dark at the time. They closed the trapdoor here, so there was no light at all in the room. And then what happened, Mrs. Bartlett?
And over here, I saw what looked to be like a large egg, approximately 4 feet high and about 2 feet wide. And I asked my wife, could she see this thing also? And she said,
no, I couldn't see it. And when he said it was beginning to move, I suddenly saw a bar about 12 inches long, like a ruler, floating flat side facing me through the air. And it moved correspondingly to this oval object.
Over to approximately like this here, come straight across here and stop approximately here.
Now, Mrs. Bartlett, did you find that the object you were seeing stopped exactly the same place?
Yes, it seemed to stop just where this ladder is.
And then, Mr. Bartlett, what happened to the figure you saw?
The figures I saw, it just stopped immediately here, and this just stood here and waited. And then after watching it for a while, we decided we'd call up the other people. And then immediately, before they come up, somebody threw a switch on and flooded this place with light. And then we discovered this ladder here. And it appeared to me as though this person, or whatever it was desirous of climbing up this ladder.
Did you hear anything?
No, I heard no sound whatsoever.
So it was just a strange
apparition.
Oval-shaped figure. Mrs. Bartlett saw a bar moving across the attic space.
Right, correct.
1 week after seeing the apparition in the attic, the Reverend Bartlett returned to the Hawkins home. He came into the room at the top of the stairs. In that room at the time, there was no furniture.
As soon as I came into the room and shut the door, I waited a moment, and all of a sudden, in front of me appeared a bed. And in this bed were two figures laying there as though they were asleep.
Reverend Bartlett, what do you think it all means?
Well, I've come to the conclusion that this interference in this home has been some inspiration from some individual
either living or since passed from this expression of life, to induce these people to leave this place, to force them to leave this place before something drastic happens to them.
No one seems to know this, but Amazon actually has a $50 million fund that they have to pay.
How'd you get down there? I was saying there's a lot to unpack out of that little thing. I don't know what y'all think or how much you got to see of it, but wow. So we had what I don't want to unfairly sound like I'm picking these people apart, but I think at first we had a little paranormal word salad there. But here, this is the amazing part. In 1960, whatever this was, 1963, 62, I think it was, like the year I was born. This is crazy that they had this kind of stuff on a local television channel in Toronto. Lynn, did you get to see any of that? That was pretty amazing for the time.
I did. I think the thing that he was talking about that was oval might have been an orb, and the fact that she meant the ribbon. I mean, and when it flies through, it looks like a ribbon or something as thick as a ruler.
Like
usually it's segmented. So yeah, I got bumped off for some reason. I don't know. There's something
going on. Something going on.
Something afoot over here.
Something's afoot. Speaking of afoot, listen, if I've ever missed you throwing in a comment, or if I didn't see it, I try to catch them all. Sometimes scary quick because I get these notifications. I'm just able to follow them in. So it seems like if you put a comment, I'm like right behind you. Bam. It's like, wow, she must have had her phone in her hand. I did. I did, because I'm at work or whatever, and I've got it right there, and I'm researching or whatever, and I see it pop up and I answer right away so I don't forget. So I want to say thank you for that. I want to say thank you for every super chat. I want to thank you for every PayPal. And if you give me any of those things, and I never ask for them, but if they ever show up, they always go into keeping this channel up. And I'll tell you what, everybody's having a hard time doing it. Prices have gone astronomical on some of these things. They got a taste of it for a couple of years, and then they've upped their price, and they're really not giving too much more for the upgrade. And kind of like a lot of things these days, it's like a pound of bacon, I think, is down to what, 10 ounces or 9 ounces now or something. A pound of bacon. They're saying a pound of bacon, but it's not a pound anymore. And they're charging you 3 times for it. So anyway, I forget what you call that, shrinkage or some kind of whatever economic, I don't care what, it's expensive is what it is. So I appreciate it very much. Anytime anybody gives so much as $1 or buys a t-shirt or a sticker or any of that, the book, I appreciate it so much. And it always goes right into this channel so we can reach out. This channel has helped recently hurricane victims in multiple directions in many, many states, way too many that to even fathom that almost a third of our country is in some kind of dire straits right now, either under wildfires or hurricane. They're either one half is drowning, the other half is on fire, and you're not hearing about it. Wyoming, Oklahoma, the animals and everything, displaced people. I personally was talking recently to several people that have either heard of or were connected to a family that lost 11 members in the floodwaters in North Carolina. I mean, there's story after story after story after story. But for the light and the dark, there's so much light, so many hands helping hands, strangers helping strangers, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I feel like we did Liberty, Lynn, just in time to give people hope and inspiration and maybe some calm in the storm, pun intended, and some direction and some thoughts and some things to consider. I've had several comments on that. I won't say from where, but it's been amazing. And to think that this little show touched people and then had the resources to reach out and connect people in almost every state that was under duress, that needed help. We were able to do that, and Lynn was here for some of that, and you guys were here for some of that, and I appreciate it so much. So if you are in any kind of need. I have several numbers in several places that I will put at the end of the show. We'll share with you on who to call, because these wonderful Americans, ordinary people doing extraordinary things, have put all of these things protected. Let's just leave it there. And organized and inventoried to where it is so easy now. They have trusted churches. I know, again, we're not going to talk about it. These are vetted places at this moment that have been helping since, let's say day 2, give them a day to get out of the mud, and started putting together. So
Literally.
these places, yeah, that you can go to the church or call your local church, tell them what you need. They hook into these bases, these warehouses, so filled to the rafters. Americans and around the world have donated. I'm going to show you at the end of the show. And what they do is you tell them, look, I need a generator. I got kids here without clothes. There's a lady walking around without shoes. These people need a tent. I need yada, yada, food, water, blah, 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 medical supplies. You tell the church, they call the hub. The hub puts on a pallet. It's delivered on a truck to your town. This is how they have it down. This is all. Now, I don't want to discuss the other things now. What I'm talking about is all driven by civilians, period. Volunteers and civilians that have donated. The money went into the hands I know, and went into hands they met and watched and vetted and watched them work, and can tell you your money is safe there, your donations are safe there. They're don't be upset or take it the wrong way if you see places that have a wish list. Don't be offended by that. This is a well-oiled machine. So if they say, please don't send any more water, odd as that may sound, they're filled to the rafters. If they say, please don't send any more diapers, we're filled to the rafters. There will come a time, this is a marathon. Please don't forget them. Please do not let the news take this out of the headlines. You keep it up. You keep passing information. You keep helping. We got holidays coming. We got winter coming. We got cold weather coming. And we have Americans that don't have roofs over their heads, and it's up to us. So that being said, I thank you for every donation. Please don't send me anything to send them. Send it directly to the addresses or one you may find that you vet. And I would highly recommend that you do it to someone like Samaritan's Purse. If you didn't want to do one of these churches or one of these warehouses, and not the big names that we've grown up to know. Because back like in 1962, when we just saw that news show, right then, a lot of names that people stood for pride and integrity and really helping hands, like, different colored crosses, and maybe an army that might have salvation in their heart, those kind of people, including
something
a lot
that
of
rhymes with Lima.
Yeah, some of those, maybe they're not using the whole dollar. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say that way. Give it to somebody who can use it. And if you're of the mind where it's easier for you to go onto Amazon, people like Grindstone Ministries have a wish list there. Please do not misunderstand Bear. He is military. He gets it done. He doesn't take any crap. He's going to tell you like it is. He's going to give you the whole truth, nothing but the truth and the facts. And sometimes he talks a little and oh God, what are they getting so much done? They've got so many crews out in so many different directions. Boots on the ground, gives a report every day, gives intel every day that tells you where your money's going and what he did with it, and the roads and the bridges and the helicopter drops and the people that the wonderful people that they're meeting. I met a guy. It's up in the mountains in North Carolina. God bless these people. I'm telling you, the strength to carry on. He's been up there, I guess at the time the story was 11 days. And they finally broke through, got to the man, and he's in there in his cabin, and he's, no electricity, no nothing. He's living on berries and walnuts, and they want to give him a generator and a bunch of other stuff. He goes, I don't need it. Give it to somebody who needs it. I got this. This is the kind of spirit that is going to fix this mess. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That kind of spirit, ordinary people helping each other. And if all you can do is share a number, share a prayer, happy energy, pass along information or just keep it alive. This is going to be a marathon. It's going to take decades to build some of these places, but we also have to hurry to help who we can because it's getting cold, folks. And it's getting cold. And they're going to get generators. They're going to get stuff, but we have to help the people that are getting it to them because it's us. It's us. And if it happens to us, these are the same people that are going to come and help you because Samaritan's Purse, this is fact check me. I dare you. You come on because I'm telling you,
Purse is a good outfit run by
Purse.
Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son. I almost went to work for him in Boone, North Carolina, but then I moved back to Tennessee. They're a good.
There you go, baby. And Cajun Navy. First, what people are showing up? People, boots on the ground, neighbors that said, "Hey, I know how to fly a helicopter. You have a helicopter? Yeah, I got the fuel for the helicopter. Well, let's do this." And getting it done. And they're still going. Day 12. They're still going. Boots on the ground. And all these groups, Grindstone Ministries, Bear Nation, TJ is a stellar human being, father, pastor. The list keeps going on. Get her done her because he gets on there and he says, "I need this, and this," and tomorrow he'll have it. And then it gets in the hands where and gives out information and says, "Don't go here, go there." Don't waste your gas. This bridge is out. This is, this place still has supplies. Oh my God, pulling people out of bad situations. This is, it's biblical. You know what I mean? It's catastrophic. It's devastating. Whatever you want to call it, but it's still happening. It's happening now. And again, if it happens to you, these will be the people that will show up. These are the people that will get it done. So please help them out. And help out your neighbor and just be prepared because if you're prepared, the problem was in a lot of cases, people didn't have enough water for 3 days, food and water for 3 days.
You need to stop.
If you have
people.
that, in some cases, it didn't matter how you prepared because everything got swept right out from under them and went, 30 miles downstream under 15 feet of mud. You know what I mean? So in that case, there was nothing that could be done, but the people that were still that survived it and they had a place, if they had food and water and everything else, those people were able to say, my stuff's together. I'm going to go help you. And if for nothing else, let that be a good reason to be putting up a little bit to take care of you and yours so you can have free hands to help somebody else, your neighbor. And I think that's the way we're going to get through all of this. So 1962, they're using names and phrases and things. Steve and I dipped into this. Lynn, you and I did on another show too, where we're looking back in the early 60s and they were acting more sophisticated. You see what I mean? Taking it more serious. That's my observation from this. And this was in Toronto where, it almost seemed like, and I joked with the chat about the early Warrens or something, right, Steve? I mean, the way they're walking around and doing their, so we can imagine these little groups were all over the place, and now if you look at the local news now, there's always that little laughter. There's always that little, yeah, buddy, he's got the UFO sighting, that kind of stuff. And I see more of that now than I did then. It's almost then they were taking it and giving it some kind of respect, so anybody want to say anything on that? It's kind of crazy thoughts, I know, but I'm fascinated with why do we keep going backwards somehow? We have the same information, more, we should have more, we should have more answers, and we just keep seeming to trip over the same stuff. In fact, in some way we've lost some of it and something else has taken its place. I'm not sure what that is. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I think every time, if you go back and in search of, if you go back to even Harry Price and his shenanigans, or Peter Underwood, or Hans Holzer, or any of these early people, it was taken, it seems to be so much more serious than it is now in some ways. Of course, there's many paranormal groups that absolutely take it seriously, but you get my drift, the shows and all, So please go on. The next section. So did you ever get that one figured out with the guy, who it was or what he was doing there?
No, it's just that there was that portal that was open, and then it was like a freeway in the house. And trying to, as you know, I use a fire component when I clear things, and people, again, the sage. Everybody runs to get the sage, but the sage, when you're working with something darker and more malevolent, it tickles them and pisses them off, and they come back with a vengeance. And after having the house cleared twice, and then within a couple of days the same situation started to occur, I had to find out how to block my walls and prevent things from coming in, which is important for people, when they go into move into an apartment. Something else I want to mention too, to kind of bring into what Cisco was saying, is also, please stay out of fear. I know that it's hard when something this traumatic comes, and send love into it. Right now, we are literally living on two timelines that are paralleling each other. And I mean, they're endless timelines, but these are very broad timelines. And one of them is a fear, which gives this life support to the old paradigm. And the other one is love, which is the direction that we're going into. So prayers and positive thoughts for these people, even though it's so awful and what has happened. Envision where you would like for them to be 6 months from now, and think, and send them that positive love and light. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Kittens.
Yeah, there's toys all over the floor too.
I'm like in Hocus Pocus when she sees the kids and she goes, woo! It's like with me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. Go ahead.
You're fine. It looks like there's trash on my floor, but they love the paper bags and all the little doodads that are all over the floor.
I love them so much.
Yeah, it's important to stay in love. And also, I wanted to mention something else off the beaten path. People, get your seatbelts on. We've got we have got 4 outer planets getting ready to move into other signs. The signs that they're moving from are water and earth. They're moving into fire and air. And of course, these are your big hitters like Uranus, Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune. And they're going to be all lining up in these these fire and water signs within the next 18 months. And if you think that time is passing quickly now, you are in for a big
It's speeding
surprise.
up. Has anybody noticed that? Like, it seems like
faster.
time is speeding up, right, Steve?
Yes.
I mean, honest to goodness,
Yep.
you know,
Maybe it's going to be
even gonna go
6 weeks
faster.
old Thursday. How could that
6
be
weeks.
possible?
How's this possible?
How'd that
He's going to
happen?
be driving next week.
I
He's
know,
going to have
right?
his first job probably by Wednesday. I mean, it's so fast, and
he
it is.
already
And
has
time
a
is.
job. His
We're
job
going
is to be cute.
to be cute. To be cute.
Yeah.
You know. I
So-
mean, my goodness. I mean, yeah. I agree with everything you're saying, and we are in these times. But here's the thing to remember the most, and then I'll shut up about it for at least for a while. I just think it's so important. We were born for this. Like Joan of Arc said, I am not afraid. I
Yep,
was born for this. And so were a lot of light workers in here. And here's the thing. This is the time that you shine. When it gets dark, you shine. The very first, there were people helping people like crazy. And that's the way to stay out of that bottom, that below that line we always talk about, in the lower vibrational stuff and emotions. In order to get out of that, help somebody, or go
Yes,
to
absolutely.
the dollar store, or the can festival down at the Piggly Wiggly, whatever it might be. Buy 10 cans and then put a box together. I know it sounds outrageous, but you could do this. Just about every one of us could. Take a can of, a corned beef hash, can of corn, a can of maybe a small bag of rice. Do you see where I'm going with this? A thing of toothpaste, a toothbrush, maybe some wipes, whatever you want to think of, you could throw in there, maybe a jar of peanuts, something, peanut butter, something that's going to last a good long time and not go bad in a month or two, and put it in your closet and mark it, maybe 1 day or 2 days of food for 2 people. And if you do have a neighbor that got a tree fall on the roof, or doesn't know what to do, or can't use, electric, and they lose all their, whatever it may be, you've got something. And then do it with a first aid box, and then do it, just stuff from the dollar store, Band-Aids, butterflies, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, gauze, splints, braces, whatever you want to throw in there, and mark that, first aid and a date, and this is prepping, but it's also preparing for storms and, whatever. And again, please do 1 box for every heartbeat in the house. Please have a bug out bag for every heartbeat in the house.
Absolutely. I'm doing that right now. As a matter of fact, I mean, I live in South Carolina, and I was without electric. I was without cell phone service, internet for days. And
get some solar panels that charge your phone. Solar, they're not that expensive, folk, and boy, they work. Steve is the tech guy. Steve, you have a lot of solar panel chargers?
Yeah, I have some of those little chargers, the solar chargers that are self-contained, and you just set them out in the sun, and they can do it, but the light in the room, they work better in the sun, but they work real good.
And they're not very expensive. You can get them just about everywhere. Now, what size do you need to say charge a cell phone just to get communications out? If you can't charge it through your car, if your lighter doesn't work, or for some reason you're not near your car, I mean, how big does it have to be?
A little handheld thing. I don't
know. Not that much.
Volts and stuff on it, but it's compact, and they're relatively inexpensive.
It's a hello for you, honey.
You get 2 or 3 of them. Hey, Cassie Tales told me.
We're getting a lot of stuff in here. I mean, all kinds of things in the chat, but and wonderful to see so many and familiar names I hadn't seen in a while. AJK's back in here. He popped up the other day. It's great to see him. He was in our Sleepy Hollow. It's wonderful. Nora's here. It's wonderful to see y'all. How y'all doing?
The little infinity symbol there. Those are coming over from 13 past midnight.
Thank goodness. Well, welcome, Stocktonites. Welcome over. Welcome over. Please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe if you hadn't. Old Cisco could use it. So I loved that one so much.
Nora Harris, Shade Viking.
Yeah, I saw Chris Jarvis in here too. Good to see you, hon. It's been a while.
Hello, everybody.
Child, Buck Elf, Dr. Crispy Johnson. You got several people in there. Got 11 watching.
Welcome.
And 19 watching here, so 30 altogether.
Welcome aboard. What's AJ saying? Hurricane Laura, I had no electricity for 13 days. Yeah, same here. I think it was a little over 8, maybe 18, something like that on Sandy for me. I think it was. I just remember reading a lot, and I was prepared. I was ready to roll. I think I warmed one room by hanging up blankets around. It was cold. My gosh. It was right around this time of year too, because people's jack-o'-lanterns were floating down the street, past the window. It was crazy. I mean, hurricanes, man, you don't want to mess with it. So much water, so much, it's just been horrible. And I don't think we're done yet. So please, learn from this, and whatever you got to do it in your situation where everything is individual, but please, believe me, a lot of those people didn't think it was going to hit them. So let's look at another one real quick. And I want to hear about when we come back, the new book, sweetheart, because I don't know much about that one. I hadn't heard much. And a couple times we've gone to do it, and then we've forgotten it, gone in another way. And I want to make sure we get it in tonight. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So here we go. Let's try one more. I think this one is much more recent. And it was really interesting. And I think the local news did really good on this. Some of them do a great job, and some of them just...
When Jim Post and his wife Jackie rented the top 2 floors of a big Southington...
We're going to have to watch it. Come on. All right.
95. They had no idea of its reputation as a haunted house, or of the history that would one day make it the subject of a horror film called The Haunting in Connecticut. As fate would have it, they found out on Halloween when Jim asked the first floor tenant if he wanted to share trick-or-treating.
He just looked at me and said, well, we just don't do Halloween anymore because it got too weird. You know what I mean? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, people would come from all over. And they were lined up down the sidewalk, down the road, wanting to get in.
Later, Jim says that neighbor showed him a tabloid that listed the top haunted houses in the world.
And there's a picture of the front of the house that I just moved into. It looks like a house out of a Norman Rockwell painting.
Strange things began to happen right away. Not terrifying things, things that occasionally happen to all of us, but seem to happen a lot in this house.
There was some missing keys, missing personal items. I looked for like an envelope that I had to mail, and it wasn't there.
An envelope with $500 cash inside went missing from a chest full of sweaters and other items. They turned it inside out looking for that money, Jim says, but it was gone. And there were stranger things.
I had some friends coming over to visit me. We were going to go out that evening, and I'm in the shower, and I hear them bound. I hear the car pull up. I hear them bound up the stairs, and they start talking to me. And I said, "Hey guys, I'm in the shower." They said, "Okay, we're going to go get some food. We're going to go get some drinks. We'll be back in 10 minutes." I got out of the shower, dried off, got dressed. I hear them pull in. They bound up the staircase, and they had the same exact conversation with me.
That's freaky.
It was like 10 minutes earlier.
He
That's
quizzed them
freaky.
about that conversation from 10 minutes earlier, and they were blank.
And they said, what are you talking? We just got here.
Then there was the night Jackie saw her mother, who had passed away years earlier, hovering in a corner of their bedroom.
She said she saw her kind of floating in the corner there watching over, and then she recognized her flannel nightgown that she always wore.
Jim says he didn't see Jackie's mother. He just saw the curtains move for no reason. But the scariest story Jim has to tell actually happened to a friend who was helping him paint a room. One night, that friend stayed behind alone to work while Jim and Jackie went out.
He was painting, and he just felt a presence. The back of his, hair on his neck went up, looked around, nobody's there. He started painting. Then he felt actually like pressure, something pushing him against the wall. He said he got out of there so fast. He ran down the stairs. He said he felt like he was going down an up escalator, got in his car, pulled around, and he said the transformer exploded in the street.
Still, Jim says the episodes he experienced were mischievous, even playful, but not malevolent, and he wouldn't necessarily call the house haunted.
In my mind, there was definitely some spiritual energy, but as far as, evil things that we see in the movies, I would have to say no.
And Jim's cousin, who was a medium, had a similar take, but with an interesting twist.
She said, I'm picking up especially a female presence, and she likes you, and she points right at me, right? And she said, I think she's trying to get you and your wife into a little bit of a tiff. So
not only do we have a haunted house here, we got a love triangle going.
Exactly. So I said, oh man, I don't know if I can't deal with that.
Safe to say Jim ghosted that ghost. Just a couple of postscripts here. First, that $500 that went missing turned up again 5 years and 3 moves later, back in the same box with the same sweaters it disappeared from. And second, the tenant who moved into the house after Jim and Jackie Post moved out was a young Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy sent us a quick statement saying he wondered why the rent was so low when he moved in, and he added, quote, "Nothing ever happened to me on the second floor of that house. I've got nothing but good things to say about it."
Let's talk about that. Why would it be? And so many interesting things happen in that quote. And I think they did a great job. Again, that's another version of a little bit older local TV news crew going down doing a local haunted house. And I think they did a good job on the story. Not really a lot of sarcasm and making fun of the whole thing and going woo and all that kind of stuff. They just kind of went at it like a serious little story. Good journalism. But why would it be, since we're learning about types of ghosts and what they do, that somebody could move into that house or that apartment and not have anything happen? What could be some of the reasons? Put it in the chat, because I know my regular people are going to have some really good answers to that. Why wouldn't that person have any kind of experiences or anything else? Because they often use it in stories to dissuade you and to make you think negative of a story or think that the other people were lying. I mean, Amityville, they used it so many times, and the people who live there now said they don't have any problems, and there's no problem. They've never seen a ghost, never heard a demon coming down the stairs, door never flew off the hinges. They don't have any slime or blood coming out of the toilet running down the walls. Everything's just fine. And they went and interviewed them, and these stoic people were sitting on the couch just talking about, this is a wonderful house, and I don't know why anybody would ever say anything bad about it, and we've never had any issues whatsoever, nothing. But the only problems that we have are the people that keep coming here pulling tiles off of the front of the house and taking stones out of our garden, thinking that this is some kind of a paranormal house, and it was, I think they did like 2 or 3 shows, and they swore nothing ever happened to them. How could that be true? How could both things be true, that they not have any problem, but the house actually did before? Good question. Lynn?
In my experience, sometimes the things that you've done, like the clearings and things that you've performed, have a delayed reaction. So they may not have the same problems with you. The other thing is maybe they're not perceptive. I mean, they're not in tune to that sort of thing, so it doesn't bother them. And the thing about the fact that if they're not in tune to it, that it doesn't bother them. If it's not bothering them and they're not afraid, they're not creating that lush that that the negative entities like to feed off of. So it keeps them more in a neutral state. They do these things to get that kind of moment, where people are scared, so that they can, the loosh is their chocolate, so they can feed on the chocolate.
Yeah,
and
love it.
Negativity enables them to do more physical acts.
Yep.
So many people, because they don't see them or whatever, finally want to go off and play because they're fun. They can't. The minute that when they're around you, what they want to do is to feed off. If they're not able to do that, then there's no.
100%. 100%. And so many things in the chat, all great ideas and theories, and I agree with each and every one of them. And that's my whole point. There's so many reasons why somebody could have a haunted house, like say a Smurls experience, or where they were just haunted and every kind of thing, from sound to like this magic whispering, where they're hearing it. Like maybe one person in the room is hearing a full-on conversation, the other person's not hearing anything at all. It's all thought projection. It's done telepathically, and they can pick who hears it and who doesn't, just like they can pick who sees them and who doesn't. Does every ghost have this ability? I would say the answer to that is yes. Does every ghost know they have this ability? I would say no. I would say they haven't learned it yet. They don't know it because of their state of mind, their frequency, whatever. But here's the other thing. Why would a house be haunted, like full blown, and then the next family moves in and nothing? Well, there's a couple of other ones I'd like to add to that. One, the ghost goes dormant, or if it's ancient, it goes dormant. It goes down in the basement, the crawl space, the attic, the furthest place back in the linen closet, whatever it is. And it sits and it waits, and it feeds off of whatever it just went through, and it's doing whatever it's doing. Sometimes it's coming and going, and it just comes back to claim that space over time. It has nothing but time. Time is different to it than it is to you, and it will be reawoken or brought out of its hibernation, or whatever you want to call it, by a certain energy that walks into the house, much like Steve and I talked about when Steve told me, hey, when I was talking about the haunted house I lived in, one of them, when my dad moved into this house with his boisterous energy and his alcoholism, his violence, and all of his energy, did it wake something up in the house, or did the house wake up something in him? And both of those things affected each other. I believe the latter is true.
Red eyes, red ribbon.
Red eyes, red ribbon. And somebody could move into that house and be a totally different frequency, different energy, different just vibe. And not something could be asleep in the attic and they never know it for generations. And again, something else, the ghost might have left with the last folks. It doesn't mean don't ever let anybody get away telling you a story about a haunted anything, and be able to use, I think being able to use nothing has happened to the latest people that moved into whatever said building. So therefore the story you just heard cannot be true, is equal to the criminal failed a polygraph. There's so many reasons that somebody could fail a polygraph or pass a polygraph and be totally guilty. So it doesn't have any water. It's meaningless to say. So don't ever let anybody debunk something by saying that to you, because it's not true. So there you go. Lynn, tell us about give us just an overview, because I want people to get the book. It's Halloween's coming. Your book, Steve's books, all of them are wonderful stocking stuffers. Why do we just have, I say this every year, folks, why do we only have stockings at Christmas time? You can hang a black stocking with a little pumpkin on your mantelpiece, just like anybody else, and the great pumpkin will come over in the middle of the night and fill your stocking with chocolates and delights and scary things. And some of the best things you could ever put in those black fuzzy stockings, or spider web covered, whatever, bedazzled, it doesn't matter, you do you, is Steve Stockton's books, Strange Things in the Woods. So many different, this wonderful series of tales, from the just lore and folklore to modern tales, things that's happened to Steve, and things you've collected over your lifetime. Right, Steve? I mean,
sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, that's true.
For everybody.
Coffee.
Something for everybody. There you go. Strange Things in the Woods.
And
And
then the National Park Mysteries and Disappearances series and My Strange World, which is autobiographical. So there you go.
there you go.
And I've got a bunch of others. I just published my 20th book last year. Working
20
on
books.
number 21, but it's probably going to be a series because I'm getting close to 100,000 words. I'm going to have to break it up into 2 or 3 volumes.
I did one with Steve. We Are All Children in the Wilderness, the Afterlife. That one just about took everything I had. I am 3/4 of the way I have in the Cabin 22 finished. But like I tell
That's gonna
Steve
be
and
good.
everybody else, time has gotten expensive. I've had to redirect my time and use it wisely. And thanks to good friends and good people. Listen, you lend out, you help people over here, and you never even imagine somebody's going to reach out and help you, and then somebody does out of the blue, and it's exactly what you needed at the right exact time, and they know who they are, and I thank them dearly, and you know, and it pulls you up. So now, you know, you can continue on to help other people, and it's just that's what I'm talking about. That chain of light in the darkness. Don't you let them tell you. That's the whole thing about being a light worker. Sure, it's tough, man. Listen. Building a warrior isn't you know for everybody. I'm telling you what, the stuff you live through to get to the point where you feel like you're 6'10" and bulletproof, you know, when you're looking into the deepest, darkest evil that you ever seen, it's just it's amazing. It's really amazing, and I love to see people survive that and come out. You know, it's interesting to see what they're going to turn out to be and who their super what do you call it other side is, super other side or whatever. But anyway, it's that's what we're here for. But it is draining because when the world is in turmoil, you pick that up. If you're an empath, most light workers are empaths. Would you not agree, guys? I mean,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say all, but most. Yeah.
Sure.
And you pick it up, you feel it.
Yep.
You know, and you
do
go
feel
through it. And it's just like living in a haunted house. We're living in a haunted world right now. You know?
Yeah, I know that's right.
And it's like living in a haunted house where it's just breaking you down and trying to beat you, and you have to get back up, and you're stronger each time, but still weaker in some ways. And it's a tough balance, but that's what it's like living in a haunted house. And what do you got, Steve?
Kinder eggs. I had it peeking in the camera.
I
there.
see those everywhere. I know nothing about them. What
And
exactly
there's,
are
I got a
those?
couple
Not
of- it's like a little-
not to hijack the podcast with chocolate or anything. Is it chocolate?
Chocolate, white chocolate egg. And
No,
there's
you're
a-
not feeding the baby.
No, not yet. You're
not feeding the baby.
Toy inside. Collect them all. I've
Wait
got
a
a
minute.
whole
What is
bunch
that?
of
Hold it
snacks
loves
there.
those.
Hold that closer. Let me see. What is it? Oh
Bunch
my!
of
Oh, like a little mummy.
glow
Oh,
in the
that's
dark toys.
adorable.
There's an app that you can.
Look
Sorry,
at that.
didn't
Is
mean to
that a
hijack the
Frankenstein in the
podcast.
background? That is
Yeah,
adorable.
there's all kinds of stuff.
Well, what did you
And,
get? Don't hold us in suspense. What'd you get?
It's over here
Do you have to
somewhere. I
eat
got
the?
it. I'll
You
have
know
them
these
next
things,
time.
Lynn? Have
Yes,
you ever seen?
my daughter loves them, and they're filled with Nutella. So
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and they come with a prize on one side of the egg, and then you've got the Nutella and the sweet thing to eat, a little spoon.
Come to my
Stop
house this year. You might get those. You might get a signed copy of my books. I gave some away the other day to some guys that came to Austin.
There you go.
Is
Oh,
that
those are
what
good.
is that?
That's the ghost
Ghost
toast,
toast?
The cinnamon toast Kit Kats.
Oh my
Woo.
goodness!
We got the
Steve.
ubiquitous Hershey mix there.
Well, I
Look
guess
at
I'm
this.
gonna go trick or treat at your house, buddy.
And, also this
Does
year,
Nick aware of this?
yeah. And you might even get some booby bars if you can.
Uh-oh.
Nick
I don't
got
even want
these.
to see.
She
I don't
didn't
want to see
care
him.
for them,
No,
but there
no,
may be
I don't
some
want
of
to see
those
him.
in some trait bag.
Steve
There's all kinds
Stockton
of
is trying to get us
stuff.
knocked off of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at this.
Woohoo!
Fanta,
Oh my goodness.
haunted apple soda. The
Haunted
Beetlejuice-
apple.
that?
The Beetlejuice tie-in.
Oh, I
Beetlejuice.
never even see
Tastes
that
like a
before.
caramel
Haunted
apple.
apple.
It's good stuff.
My
Cat
stepping
was
on his
drinking
head.
Pringles have
50
got
different
their
flavors in it.
haunted
Oh my
cans out. They believe that they glow in the dark. I thought
You
the
eat all
kids
that crap, man, you're not gonna make it till
I'm
Halloween.
I'm just collecting stuff. And this,
I
really
still
like
want to
this.
find the Black Cat Coke. Let me see if I can find that picture. You got to see how beautiful. Look at this.
That is so
Late
cool.
night fruity call.
Wow.
It's a fruit drink.
Fruity call. That's
and,
funny.
and if you
Wait a
it's
minute.
real
I
fruit
can't-
juice, no
I can't
artificial
any
sweetener,
further.
no caffeine. Drink happy thoughts. But if you've ever been to Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York, you recognize that face right there. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
interrupt what was going
Just,
on.
No,
there.
that's okay.
just
Very
hijack the
share some of
podcast here,
the,
Steve.
some of the good stuff here. Look at that.
Oh,
I don't
that
know
is
if I'm gonna
so
be able
cool.
to find the
Looking
picture, but I
camera.
gotta find it.
Yeah,
I get stuff like this. I've got all the monster cereals for this year too.
It was so pretty.
Every year.
There you go. I'm going to come to your house. Speaking of that house too, is I actually called the management company because the maid had told me that she had reported to them even before I had moved in that she hated cleaning that apartment because of the negative energy and that it was haunted. So they were aware of it. And the thing was, is just oddly, when I did go to the house to sign on the dotted line and all of that, I jokingly said to the lady, I said, you know what? I had an issue with a haunted house. If this place turns out to be haunted, will you give me my money back? And she looked at me real funny and she's like, well, yeah, ha, ha, ha. So when I had called the mortgage company to say to them, look, this place is haunted and your maid knows that it's haunted and has told me that you know that it's haunted. And I said, and I want to be able to break my lease and get out and move somewhere else because I'm not going to live here, in a haunted space. And they're like, oh, do you really believe that? And I'm like, look, you're more than welcome to come over, but nobody wants to come over. And lo and behold, their agency literally dropped the account with those 10 townhouses. They ended up having to find another management company. One of the other things too, is that the people in in townhouse number 1, they were out one day because their cat got out and they were looking for their cat. So they opened up an area to go underneath the building and there were all of these dead cat carcasses underneath the building. Not theirs. They did find theirs. After a couple of days, they left food out for it and it went carousing. But when they told me that all the underneath that townhouse had cat carcasses underneath it, I'm like, well, no wonder, that there's, that's a health violation. No wonder why you can constantly smell that dead body smell, when you go out, because it was coming from underneath the building. And so, but they wouldn't let me get out of my lease. I was stuck living there.
It's terrible though. I mean, when you hear real people that had to go through, I'm looking for the cat. I can't find it. The black cat limited edition Coke can. Yeah. So I'm guessing that was probably AI. And it's not a real thing, but you started to tell it. As soon as I saw it, I went, man, that's AI. But it was so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It was just like a limited edition black Coca-Cola can with a black cat, a pumpkin, and just like a real vintagey looking Halloween scene. And I'm like, if they're not doing it, why not? Why not?
Reminds me of that song where you say, nothing like the real thing, baby.
Yeah.
There you go.
But, even if you don't drink Coke, it was worth that just having a can. A fruity call. What's going on over here, AJ? What are you doing in my chat? What's
I was talking about my drink there.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought it was Asbury Park, too, but I
look over and I'm seeing this stuff. I'm seeing, Island, so with my old eyes, I'm seeing Grinder instead of Kinder. I'm seeing.
That says Coney Island. I thought it was Asbury Park.
Fruity call.
Yeah. Raspberry Park is it's close. It's close, but it's just a little different. It's I can't even remember his name now. I know it as well as my own. I used to walk past it my whole childhood.
I thought it was Asbury Park, but then the internet said it was
Asbury Park is oh gosh, what's his name? Hang on, I'll pull it up. It's
maybe the same character.
My fellow Jersey Shore people are going to hate the fact that I can't come up with his name. There he is. Here he is, real quick. Tilly, there it is. Tilly. It's close. It's close to what you're showing, Steve. I'll pull up here and share screen.
Yeah, I thought it was Asbury Park, but then everything I found online it says Coney Island. So who knows?
Can you guys see?
Oh, there he is.
It's almost the same thing for Coney Island.
Yeah,
but that's kind of what if you see this here.
Tilly.
Kind of the same.
Close. It's just as frightening. I mean, and now it's like almost the smiling. What is it? What is the Phantom dude? The grinning man, or the alien that was by the Mothman in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Who was that? Had a wild name. Cold.
Ingrid Cold.
Ingrid Cold. There we go. Golly, sometimes it hurts. It gets stuck and it's almost like wedging it out, and it almost stings a little bit when it gets unlodged like that. So anyway, before we move on and talk about tell us about all the names of the books. And I did not even realize there was 4 in a series. And I want to hear a little bit about the last one because, again, this is great for spooky season. Look, if your electric goes out, you need to get the candles. You need to get the solar lamps outside, get them all charged up. You bring them inside. You fill a milk jug or an old 2-liter, take the label off, fill it with water, stick it in front of a mirror like in the bathroom or something like that. Light a whole room just like a candle, and usually most of the night all the way through, depending on how much sun it got. But listen, 20 of those, $20, go down to the dollar store and you can light your whole daggum house. And if you've got pets or kids or whatever, you're not all nervous. You got candles all over the place when you're out of electricity. That's just a little tidbit, you know. And don't forget, Crisco, you know, burns with a taper candle down there. I'll tell you what, put it in a metal container, get the Crisco. It's what, how many? $6, $7? I don't know. It's probably $20 now. But get a tub of Crisco and you stick a taper candle down in there. That sucker will burn for weeks. I'm not joking. That is not an exaggeration, depending on how much Crisco you have. And you can break that up and put it in other metal containers. Please, guys, don't go putting this in a red Solo cup or something like that where it's going to melt. Let's use what, you know, the brains, because some of these things you might think is metal. Like that Crisco, it doesn't come in metal anymore. It's a foil wrapped cardboard. And I know a lady met her in the ER one time, and she poured the hot grease back into the Crisco can, and it went right through the hot grease and burnt all down her leg. And she was there for that, the ER. So please be careful. Let's be mindful, but that will burn if you need it. And listen, when we were without electricity in Sandy, I heated a whole room with 3 large jar candles, like the size of a large Yankee or like a Michael's or whatever their brand would be, ShopRite. Everybody's got them now. Put them all together so the heat would be right there, and it heated the room for, I mean, kept it toasty.
You can do the same thing with clay pots and those candles. Put candles on a plate, elevate a clay pot upside down over it, and it'll radiate and heat a room.
Yep. And if you got bricks, clean them off ahead of time, have them ready. If you do have electric, you know, you can put hot bricks in your oven and heat them up. Now, look, be careful. You don't want to be around air inside popping and all this other stuff. You know, watch a couple YouTube channels and test it out. Be careful. Maybe wear goggles. But you can heat up hot bricks, or like even Steve said with the clay pots, and you can place them in places if you don't have tea lights and stuff like that. But at this point, you should have tea lights. You should have a lot of other stuff.
Like an
water.
old-fashioned bed warmer. Remember those? They put it in.
Oh gosh, yeah, the hot bricks. That's what they did. Going back to the old ways, buddy, it'll get you through. A lot of people are doing that right as we speak.
And if you've got bricks, you can take them outside and build a rocket stove with just a few bricks.
It is getting cold. So Lynn, please do the next 2 books, because one, you know, you release, that's on your Amazon channel, and that's lynnmonet.com. Get it there, folks. Get it there. Don't, you know. Only
some of the books are being sold on Amazon. Other ones are exclusive to my website. As there's Omnipresent, then there's Omnipresent What Happened Next, which I have, which is about what happened next. And then, of course, this 3rd book is Omnipresent 111 Becadon Drive. The 4th book will be Omnipresent Gnome Place Like Home, which is a story about Bob, who Brian has personally met and actually saw him with me at the bash. He was sitting in the chair, and Brian comes over and he points and he says, you know, Bob's here. And there's Bob sitting there shifting his feet, watching everybody go by. I also had a lady come by that day and told me, she says, you've got a little boy following you around. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know, because they're so small, you know, that they look like children. And I wanted to mention something too about that guy on the TV clip, you know, that his money and stuff had disappeared. Usually ghosts don't take things and make them disappear. It's usually fae and elementals that do that. So they might have had a combo deal of a couple of things going on there. So, because they will take your things and make them disappear and reappear. Then there will be a 5th book in the Omnipresent series. In addition to that, off of the 4th book, Gnome Place Like Home, there's going to be an offshoot of 2 to 3 other books and a set of children's books that will be coming off of that.
Wow.
I do have a sequel for Colors of Heaven, when my sister passed away and all of what I saw that happened with that. And the new things, and a lot of like new messages. I mean, so many things that Bob tells me, like for instance, and I think did I mention about the seed and spitting on your seeds before you plant them? Did I mention?
Tell us.
Okay.
And then tell us something from the book, from the other book, that would be like a teaser going into, what happened next after Omnipresent and the next one. I keep forgetting the address, but
yeah,
give us a little bit of that too. But tell us about the seed. It's cool.
Bob tells me stories about the crystalline cities in the oceans, and about how mermaids, when they go into their physical form, that they are whales, certain whales. So the whales are mermaids. And but he also told me that when you're planting things, if you take the seed and you expectorate on it, the seed has the ability to analyze your saliva, and anything that you have a deficit in your saliva, when the plant grows, it will also grow that component, so that when you eat it, you get thoroughly everything that you need. That's what I was told. So I'm learning a lot of beautiful things about that.
Wow.
Again, that one will be coming out in February. This book is supposed to be out on Halloween. I think it might be delayed just a little bit, probably more Thanksgiving time for the 111 Becadon Drive. But yeah, definitely, if you or anyone, I mean, you can even go in with your sonar, your empath sonar on, and miss things in apartments, buildings, and things like that that are connected, because again, they step
It's
away.
going in and out. Yep.
Exactly. So
going in and out, back and forth. It's hiding from you. It knows you're coming before you get there, before you know you're coming. In some cases, I mean, in one of the creepiest things, I learned coming up through all of this is, if you're going to help somebody, and the thing that is bothering them, or things, or multiples, is strong enough and has learned enough, and has that telepathic connection and that cord going there, they know you're coming to help them, and if they don't want you to be there, they'll show up like the night before you go and try to keep you from going. And you can take that in any direction. It depends how bad that is. It's like Steve says all the time, your mileage may vary. It'll vary between the ghosts and what that actually means, or the entity, because when it's something evil and very strong and very powerful, that can mean something completely different than just, some guy that, doesn't want you to stop him from harassing these people that are in his house, and, that kind of thing. And they got lucky and learned how to do this little trick. It's just, it's amazing to me to think about, how do they learn that they can do that? Is there a book? Do they go over there and their spirit guide hands them a book real quick and go, look, you only got about 3 minutes to look at that. So learn as much as you can. I got to take it back, What do they do? How do they learn so quick? Some of them, it's crazy. Go ahead, Lynn.
A lot of them learn from each other, because there are sometimes multiples in that dimension. There's a lot of really strange stuff in that fourth dimension, the gaps between the third and the fifth. And I mean, there's portals that aliens use and Bigfoot uses, and all of those things as well. And it's not a pleasant place for them to be. Most of the time, they're controlled by something more malevolent if they don't get themselves crossed over, in a lot of cases. Not always, but in a lot of cases. But the book is really, really interesting, because it walks you through what to do if you are living in an apartment, what to look for. The thing is, too, is, when you're an empath, somebody's ghost from 5 doors down can come in and find you too, thinking that you're an angel to help them cross over. So sometimes and then they like you, so they end up, hanging out and staying there. So it's not always something intentional. Sometimes it's just something passing through that ends up staying with you or whatever. But
I agree. Yeah. And before I take it down, I want you to see this message from Sir Bowden. He wants an autographed copy, and let him know how to send it to you. That's can you go through lynnmonet.com to do that, or?
Yes, lynnmonet.com. And again, the book coming out of the 111 Becadon Drive will be coming out like around Halloween or a little bit after. That will be on my website only. So will the fourth book of No Place Like Home, which Brian was a part of, with helping me. And so, definitely, reach out to me and let me know, and I'll make sure that you get signed copies. And I appreciate, Cisco and Brian and all those people.
Oh gosh, we love you, baby.
Melissa,
we love you.
That helped out and went through that process with me. I mean, who knew? I didn't know anything about elementals and things like that. But let me tell you, he is a treasure. He still is a treasure. I'm learning so many beautiful things about crystalline cities underwater and about luminescent beaches and all kinds of beautiful things in the connect together. And because they're also kind of under a battle as well, with what they're doing. But the one thing is as our consciousness elevates coming very, very soon, the filters between the dimensions are starting to efface, and they will be able to see us clearly, and we'll be able to see them clearly, and they'll be able to help us like they used to do. I mean, back in the times of the Indians, they used to feed the puckwudgies to the giants so that the tribesmen wouldn't get eaten. So they were betrayed even by the Indians. They were constantly betrayed by the farmers who would play tricks on them. You know, do you want the vegetables part? You know, let's split.
See, as soon as she starts talking about it, Steve, they cut her off.
The puckwudgies got her.
Yeah, every time. That's what happened to her last time. She started talking about where, this book and where she. I'm telling you, folks, this is funny because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes too, where I know that she's had problems to talk about this certain book, and they're playing. She just got done saying they play tricks on. This is so true. Everybody thinks this is all just made up crap, but I'm telling you, it's so true. And the stuff that's behind the scenes, the good stuff is so good and so full of wonder and miraculous things. And, I'm hearing stories day after day after day, especially from these boots on the ground, helping, these people, like, they'll call out and go, gosh, if we only had somebody who was, what do you call the ones that, I guess rope climbers, going up and down the mountains, they do the ropes and they hook onto something, and then there's another word for it, like rappel, something like that. But anyway, they needed somebody that had that knowledge. Like if we just had that, we could get up that cliff. And there was a family stuck up there, and I can't remember whether this story was the family that was up there that had been up there for like 6 days or whatever. God bless them, without water or anything else. And everything's washed out around them. It's like they made an island out of this part of the mountain, and the bridges washed out, no roads, no nothing, just stuck. And I know Barrett had talked to one of the guys he had on his crew and said, if we only had a rope guy. So they go back to the FOP, to the forward operational base, and they go back there and sitting at the tent when they go to get coffee or whatever it was. Here she's back. And whatever it was, here's this guy that had been wandering around for 2 to 3 days trying to volunteer, and he's sitting right outside the entrance where they're going to go in, and they bump into him, and sure enough, guess what he did? He was a rope propeller. He had been looking, he said he couldn't go out on his own, was looking for a crew so he could go up and save people. And they're on the way back, just said, I wish I could find a rope guy. And there he was. So if you don't think that light's moving in that, I don't know what to tell you. Here she is. She's back. Every time, kittens, oh my God, they're precious. Every time you say that they're playing tricks on you, they pop you off of here. That's twice now.
Yes,
you were talking about the same thing, and you got taken down. Oh my God, look at the face. Oh, I could just mother Kate it. Oh, with
this
love.
one feels like Angora.
Oh, I want him. Give him to me. Oh,
I gladly.
Oh, put a stamp on his little forehead and send him this way. Oh my gosh, I am so weak. I'm animals.
I will deliver him for you. That's for sure.
I am so, oh my gosh, I'd have 1 million. Oh geez. If I am ever on like 100 acres with all just screened in and there's just dogs and, hundreds of dogs and cats running everywhere, just happy as all get out, I've won the lottery. That's a sign. That's my way of saying I've won the lottery without saying I won the lottery. So, all right, listen, we got to get out of here, guys. If anybody has to leave, I totally understand. Steve, go and see all these wonderful channels. This is quality podcasting, guys. So, the missing with a great purpose, the keeping, just like I'm trying to keep the hurricane survivors and the rebuilding and the just everything that needs to be done and the things that they're still going to need and the warm stuff. I'm trying to keep that alive. Steve is keeping alive the names of the missing. And it's not just, the fascinating of portals or aliens or this or that. It's human beings in trouble, and Steve found a way to help. Please get over there if you're not a member, or if you're not watching these channels, you ought to be. Steve, I know you got to go. It's getting late. You can stay if you want. I wanted to show a little bit of where people can get help if they need it tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take on off. The baby's going to
love to hold it
for a bottle here.
They said you're changing haunted diapers over there, my
Nicole
friend.
usually handles the diapers, and I handle the bottles, and she does.
There you go.
But
I bet you there's some demons every once in a while in those diapers.
Come
though.
over and
he's getting regulated.
But check out Missing Person Mysteries and Storytelling, immersive storytelling on Tales Untold, and got the radio show, everything out there on Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. And I'd like to have you and Lynn both on.
I'd love to be.
Oh, I would love to be.
I'll set that up. I need guests for this week, so that'll work out good. And I've got
Halloween's coming.
Friday night. I'll be on with Clyde himself on his radio station on 200 something radio stations.
Ground Zero
Country, Ground Zero Radio. We'll be talking scary paranormal stuff, and that's I forgot what time, 9 to 11, but I think it's Pacific time. Let me look real quick. 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific, so 11 to 1 a.m. Eastern time this Friday night on a station near you.
That sounds good to me.
Zero,
all my love, sweetheart. Give the baby kisses and give your dear wife a hug for me. And I love you dearly. You know that. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Here we go.
Don't forget to click on the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and
please do.
And Chris Jarvis is wanting to know, hey, he's watching you on 13 past midnight. I'm going to drop your link.
Hey, Chris. Good to see you, sweetie. Good to see you.
Chris, I'll put the link in.
Brian on Thursday.
Just jump on to Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal podcast. Come on over and subscribe. It's a wacky channel. We do some crazy stuff, but we have a good time. We're trying to learn about ghosts, trying to learn about UFOs. We might look into the Glenn Miller missing, or we might, look up, do gangsters or some other kind of crazy stuff. We always try to tie the paranormal and supernatural into it because I think it's interwoven everywhere.
I meant Chris Van Pool.
There you go, Chris Van Pool. Good to see you.
I'm gonna drop a link here to Cisco's channel. So please subscribe over there. I'm here every Monday night. I
don't know what you're supposed to. What are you supposed to get? D-Rock, what's Lynn getting? There you go. There's a link. All right, kiddo. There you go. My love to everybody. I'm gonna show one more of these little local things. Lynn, do you want to stay with me a minute, or do you got to go?
And about being on this week's show, I'd love to have you both on.
Yeah, tell some ghost stories. Why not?
Yeah,
sounds great.
Getting ready to die. I'm on 5. So, and I keep trying to move it over to charge it, but it's not charging. I don't want it to go out on us again. So I'll probably
totally understand. Go ahead, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Listen, get over to lynnmonet.com and get some of those books. Don't drink too many of those, my friend. And I'm going to stay with you just a few minutes. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, don't forget to watch Gaia Beyond Belief, George Norrie. The one streaming now. So please watch it. And let me know if you need the link so that you can watch it for free from Gaia and get a week's worth of Gaia free.
There you go. Oh, wow. That's nice. Yeah, that is nice. Bye, sweetheart. Love you.
You too.
Have a good one.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Cabin 22 is going to be on Tuesday, the 22nd of October at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to be here. I'm trying to make a ticker. Did I do it? Did I do it? Did I do it? Let's see if it works. Booyah. There you go. So if you're not familiar with Cabin 22, Cabin 22 is a story that a novel I wrote. And I did it in audio. I did all the voices. I sat down. It created itself, I think. But it is basically a haunted Halloween tale. It centers around a gentleman named Dave, who is he's got a 2-week vacation. He's just changed jobs. He's leaving the big city to go to the heart of the country. And he's got a new job there. And before he kind of officially moves into his new apartment in this, the new town he's moved to, he decides he's going to take 2 2 weeks and go fishing in these wonderful cabins that are on this mountain in Alabama. And it happens to be at the top of a mountain that is on sacred soil. And a little bit surrounding that is sour soil. And this whole story is about dark and light and all of the Halloween things you can imagine, because it stemmed out of a kind of a dare that Steve Stockton gave me. What happened was he was doing 31 nights of Halloween on 13 Past Midnight, one of his YouTube channels. And he was about up into night 25 something. And he was getting tired. And his birthday is Halloween day. And I was thinking about what to give him, and, what do you give a guy who's got everything kind of thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to write him a ghost story. I'm going to write him a ghost story, and I'm going to do the audio for it. I'm going to read, narrate it and everything. And then I'm going to tape it and I'm going to send it to him and say, here, have a night off, because he was doing a different thing for every night for 31 days. And it was getting toward the end and he was tired. So I thought that's a great gift. And I wrote a little ghost story. It took me a half hour to write it and then probably another hour to record it. And I sent it to him and he loved it. And he played it and other people liked it. So they said, I'd love to hear this, more to the story. It seems like there's more. And I thought, okay, now I know where these cabins are. And some of these things happened. Some of these things actually happened to people I know for sure in this story. And some of them happened to me. And some of them I was a part of. And this is a story very much like The Stand, where you have different characters. Each character is interwoven on this mountain. It's Halloween weekend. There are moonshiners. There are villains. There are heroes. There's a wonderful dog named Rage. You're going to love him. There are characters that have been on the mountain almost all their life. And there's some newcomers too. And these people have no idea that they're all converging at a time during Halloween when the veil is so thin after a huge hurricane, believe it or not, that has moved and shifted the nature that was around that hurricane and displaced things. And when you displace things, there is a fight for territory. And it's not just for the surrounding area and the natural forest that is the fight is in. It's the whole place. And it's all breaking loose on Hell Night and Halloween weekend. And it's got everything. It's got shamans. It's got mediums. It's got channelers and people with different types of abilities. It's got ghosts. It's got a murder mystery. It's got these hideous rats. It's got funny cops. It's got Bigfoot and Rougarous and Dogmen and just everything you can imagine that might have to do with Halloween. And it's a good story. I hope you come to hear it. It is about 11 hours long because it is like an audio book. And we listen to it. There's visuals that kind of go with it to kind of spark your imagination. And we usually take it 2 to 2.5 hour chunks, and we do it all in a row. So we invite you to come with us. It'll be probably chapters 1 and 2 the first night and so on. And then we finish up right before Halloween and we have a great time. And we also have recipes. So if you are of the mind and you like a nice alcoholic beverage and something nice and cool and kind of fallish, I came up with this recipe of, it's very much like an apple cider, almost with like a baseline of almost like a vanilla. And it is made with vanilla vodka. Well, you'll see. And there's also a version that you can get. You can make a frozen one. It's fun for kids. This is a great story for kids. I mean, guys that have heard Cabin 22, do you agree that most kids could listen to? I think there's some really scary parts, and it does get gory. But I tried to keep it. Can we say PG-13? Would you agree with that? I mean, I know some of it might be a little R-ish there in some cases. I mean, listen, this is a real deal. Like I said, a lot of this stuff happened, and I can't tell you which one, but it's the weirdest stuff. And it is really a battle of good versus evil, and spiritual warfare, and haunting tales. And like I said, there's a murder mystery and just so many different things, but it is so real to life, as outrageous as it sounds. So thank you so much, Sir Bowden. Thank you. It's so much fun. So you come, it's free. So you can come, and like I said, you bring snacks, you bring your whatever, we talk about it. And it's so much fun to have people in here that have never seen it before, because this is a tradition for us. We have done this every year. This is our 4th year, chat. I think it's the 4th year. It's if 5 if you count the year that we just did it on Steve's channel, and I didn't have any of the edits where I fixed the sound and stuff, and added the visuals. We did it on Steve's one year, so I think this is like year 4 or 5 in a row, maybe. But anyway, it's a Halloween tradition around here. We love it, and it's fun to have other people in that hadn't heard it before, because thank you so much, G. And it's fun to hear their take on the things that unfold along the way. You're going to love the characters. It's got Skeet, it's got Tater, it's got Rage and Dave, it's got Mr. and Mrs. McGee. And Mrs. McGee is always baking pies. She's one of the caretakers of the cabins on top of the mountain, Montesano Mountain, and it really does exist. And she's always baking pies. She's that lady. And apple is one of her favorites. So this is the recipe for Mrs. McGee's apple pie moonshine. It's almost done. Three quarters of the way, Bride. I just don't have time, man. I try. This is so good. This tastes so good. It really does. Brown sugar and cinnamon on the rim. It's a yum. It's very good frozen, very good slushy. And this is also good without the alcohol for the kids. Just saying. Put a spider on top, have fun with it. Ain't your grandma's apple pie, that's for sure. So it's Fireball, and it's vanilla vodka, and apple cider works better than the juice, but you can use apple juice. Honey, brown sugar, cinnamon on the rim. So you dip it in the honey, then in the cinnamon and brown sugar. It's so good. It's not as sweet as it sounds. It really tastes, if you mix it right, follow the recipe, screenshot it, rewind it back, get the recipe, try it. So you can slow this down and go back over it if you want. But it's so good if you measure it out right, because the vanilla vodka kind of cuts that Fireball, so it's not so sweet and not so hot. And Mrs. McGee, you're gonna love her. She's a great character. Happy Halloween. Maybe this to add to it. Gather whoever might be interested. If you're driving in a car, you got a trip or whatever, it's great. I get a lot of people that tell me they listen to it in the car. So again, it's about I think it goes just over 11 hours, and we're trying to do like 2.5 hour chunks. So every night starting 8 p.m. Eastern, starting on the 22nd, as it says here, we will start Cabin 22. And I hope it's a new tradition for you. I hope you'll join us, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can, because it's so much fun. So if you're not into mixed drinks, if you're not into, apple cider slushies, it's so good. So refreshing too. Bring whatever beverage you want, but by all means, around here we throw bacon. You see a lot of those bacon emojis here if you're new, and bacon in our chat means love. So if you got hit with bacon tonight, they were welcoming you in, and they were just showing their love. If you don't like bacon, we also keep broccoli on the back shelf just so we don't leave anybody out. But bacon is love around here. So of course, our snacks for Cabin 22 is going to have bacon. Where do you get a load of this one? Yeah, baby. It's so good. So good for Halloween munching. Thank you, Brian. I know, it's so good. I had bacon today. Any day with bacon is a good day. Yeah. Yep. I'm excited about it too. Here comes the recipe, guys. Very simple to make. Of course, there's different versions, but it also makes a great decoration. It can be brought into any kind of decor. So bacon, little vegetable oil, unpopped popcorn, unsalted butter, light brown sugar, light corn syrup, very important, salt, baking soda, vanilla extract. Now that's if you're going to go with the caramel from scratch. You can also do the little caramel squares. You can melt those and make it easy. It makes great popcorn balls, great decoration, a real crowd pleaser, great haunted tail snacks. Look, you can even do vintage. There you go. Happy Halloween. And since y'all stayed, pardon my cough, since y'all stayed, I'm going to give you what I thought was a very intriguing little tale here. And I don't know. You guys tell me. This is about 2 minutes, so it's not going to keep you that late. But I found it very intriguing. This family is kind of, let's just say, all in.
Finally tonight, a hair-raising story
All
about
in.
members of a Toronto family looking beyond the borders of the city for a new home.
They landed a 12,000 square foot property just north of Windsor, and it has a history fitting for a Halloween night. Here's Allison Hurst to explain.
I don't know. By the end of it, I kind of like it.
Home to death. The energy in the house is incredible, so we love that. They traded in this single-family Roncesvalles home on a quiet tree-lined street for a 38-room mansion in Dresden, Ontario, with a peculiar past. It's a beautiful 1880s Victorian mansion, Second Empire architecture, and it just happens to have been a funeral home for over 100 years. Given that history, the family has made some odd discoveries.
We found a body box. That was probably the biggest thing, both physically and scary, that we found.
And there have been some eerie experiences. We have.
Did you guys hear the man say a body box? I'm not sure if he means coffin, but if he doesn't mean coffin, what is he doing finding coffin? If it's a coffin, it's pretty creepy. But if it's not a coffin, what the hell is a body box?
Have a man that wanders around the house. We have a lady that shouts hello any time of the day or night.
Like slamming doors, people sitting on my beds. But yeah, it's safe to say I've had a lot of paranormal experience.
The centuries-old Victorian mansion was listed for $600,000.
Holy
shit. The family saw it during the pandemic and paid $570,000. We had no intention of leaving Toronto. We loved it there. We loved our home. We were here, I don't know, minutes before we were like,
That scares the shit out of me.
We're buying a funeral home. It was a steal.
Don't know about that.
While renovations are underway, they're trying to keep the bones intact.
There's a lot more to do. We're only about
That's
halfway
crazy.
through actually bringing the building back.
And they've somehow managed to use every single room.
Okay, unlike when we lived in Toronto,
that
where
was a
you
little
had to
too
have
much for me,
multi-purpose
but-
rooms, we get to have dedicated rooms. So kind of exploring that for a gym or a movie room or a library or whatever it might be.
For Halloween, the family is dressed as
I
bat
love the
attack
couch.
victims. A nod to their pest problem with a touch of holiday horror.
Our theme is that they all escaped, and in the middle of the night, they attacked us and got us all bloody and bruised in our pajamas.
Because no haunted house is complete without a bit of gore.
Happy Halloween.
Allison Hurst, CTV News.
I mean,
probably know Vistaprint for business cards.
Yep.
get out of here. So when I first saw that, I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then it grew. Did it grow on you? Because it grew on me. I was like, some of these rooms pretty nice. That one, I was more about the dark. The dark ones. I liked that one bedroom. That was kind of cool. The one with all the gold. I'm not really about that, but like the darker stuff is where I'm more comfortable. But anyway, by the end of it, they grew on me. Okay, one more and then we're out of here. Because I've gone way over, but I wanted to make sure. Was it this one? The Texas? Really? The Boyd house? Was it this one? Maybe it's this one. We'll see if it's this one. I think it's this one. This was only 5 minutes. 5 more minutes and we're out. Okay. If not, I will show them next week.
Hanover's haunted house.
The house has been featured on a number of TV shows, and it's now the subject of a book. Fox 43's Grace Griffin decided to take a visit, and just in time for Halloween.
We went into the house not knowing what to expect, and definitely not prepared for some of the things we were about to hear and experience.
Isn't that pretty? Look at that.
Nestled at the corner of Maple and Monroe Streets in a quiet Hanover neighborhood, a house that hasn't felt much like home for its owners since shortly after moving in. It's known as Hanover's most haunted house, featured on the Travel Channel's show The Dead Files.
So now what would happen up here that you're not sleeping up there?
I was coming up the steps, and then I felt 2 hands just like that.
The owners, Deanna and Tom Simpson.
As soon as we pulled up, I was just instantly drawn to it.
Deanna fell in love with the house's quirks and charm. It reminded her of a childhood home in Kentucky, but that love story soon turned into a nightmare. One the Simpsons say they can't seem to escape.
The problem is that nobody wants it for a home because it's not safe. I've been thrown down the steps. I had a fractured tailbone. We've been bit. We've been scratched.
In fact, the last time Fox 43 visited the Simpsons house, our photographer believed he was scratched by something.
Just a couple minutes into the interview, our photojournalist, Nick, felt his wrist burning.
Are you okay? Did you get scratched?
He was behind the camera, but Simpson knew what had happened right away.
Deanna and Tom lead us on a tour of the 3-story home. We learn Tom is slightly skeptical, but unable to deny something's happening here.
The thing was, I used to kid her about, well, you're ghosted, this, that. And one day I was at the kitchen table saying that to her, and I got a burning sensation. I actually had a scratch. That's why I said, there might be something to this.
I started crying and I said, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? What happened there? You know, there's no cats around. We're just sitting here.
Deanna, the main victim in this haunting, recalls horrifying stories throughout the couple's 10 years here. This elk head remounted several times after Deanna and Tom found it on the floor, the same room where Deanna and Tom have felt sick.
This is where we thought we were having a heart attack. We would end up going to the local hospital. We would drive there, and as soon as we left the house, we felt better.
And in another room, Deanna says she's watched by a woman outside the window, and something crawls into bed with her at night.
A couple times I was actually pinned down in the bed. I couldn't move.
We experienced some phenomena ourselves. Like when Fox 43 photographer Drew Zala hears a noise he just can't explain while getting shots of the house. And in the basement.
And down here is the family room that we never, ever use.
Where I begin to feel something strange.
Ow. Did you get feel that when you come down? Did you feel that? Okay.
I did not. What did you guys feel?
You just feel all of this pressure in your head, like all of a sudden just pounding
Right
in
here.
here.
Right here. I did not feel that upstairs.
No, because downstairs we have like 3 levels of haunting. You have your basement and you have your first floor. And then you have the upstairs. And it's like they all stay in these areas.
Deanna says she captured a spirit on camera. She calls him the Shadow Man. In other parts of the house, voices. Something even saying my name. And to make matters spookier, I suddenly became very cold, shivering uncontrollably.
You're shaking pretty good, look at her. Her leg's going a mile a minute.
The Simpsons have tried a number of cleanses with no luck.
We've had a priest, a preacher, a shaman, a Reiki healer, a witch. And then Tom and I just said, look, nobody's able to do this. We're just going to do it ourselves. And we just can't do it. It's just bigger than us.
For now, they'll continue to decorate the house, making it their own. And Deanna says they have their faith. It's just a question of how much longer will they be able to stay.
And when we went back to the station and watched our footage, we heard slams, noticed equipment malfunctions, and growls recorded on camera. But if you want to see all of that, you're going to have to watch our full story on our website, fox43.com. Grace Griffithson, Fox 43 News.
Haunted pops up before you finish typing on Google. But there are rumors of a
Okay, I am back. So tonight, basically, what I wanted to say is, looking back at 1962, how they handled that little kind of their own, like 62, 60 minutes kind of thing. I thought it interesting that they took it as serious as they did. I'm always fascinated when I hear interviews from Peter Underwood, president of the UK Ghost Society. Oh gosh, for like 30, 35 years, going way back. I think early 40s. Harry Price, 20s and 30s. Hans Holzer, so many decades. A lot of popularity in the 70s, 80s. People like this and countless others, so many different directions. The Moody's and just the seekers and the investigators and the people who ask the questions and just are mesmerized by the answers and every little bit, to try to put together a theory that makes sense. And we've been struggling to get that all along. I'm still doing it 50 years, and people mistake, I think, my comfort in saying the things that I believe at this point as almost arrogant or like I'm overstepping, when I say I'm going to go in there and I'm going to explain to this ghost what's going on. We have to assess the situation. Who are we talking to? What period are they from? What is their language? What are their beliefs? Do they have a religion? Do they have a faith? How did they die? I'm just spouting out little items here, but that's just scratching the surface. I think it's arrogant to kick in the door and, start yelling and screaming inside of a house that, one, is not yours. Two, you're going in to help. Are you going in to help the living? Are you doing it for investigative reasons? Are you doing it? What do you do? What's your intent? Because if you're just going to kick in the door and start yelling out, what's it like to, be dead, or how'd you die, or what are you doing here, or do something, bang on the wall, whatever. I just think you're going to get different results than going in a different way and trying to understand that this is a human being in trouble that needs help. As Hans Holzer said, I am not afraid of ghosts. They are just people in need of help. That was as close to his quote. Maybe verbatim. Don't count on it. So anyway, I think it's interesting to look back at these. Some of the more modern ones, again, that one from Oregon was so much fun. That family, that bed and breakfast. Oh my gosh, those rooms. Some of it was a little over the top. Some of the coffins with the drinks in them, I just, I don't know. But some of it was pretty cool. And it's interesting to see the difference. And it's interesting to see that now you get a lot of that elbow in the rib kind of thing where the laughing and the giggles. And you get that with abductions and UFOs and Bigfoots and stuff like that too, again. And I wonder, how did we do that after all these decades and all this evidence and all these stories after story after story and picture after picture and video after video and blah, blah, blah? How could people still be missing it? And I'm glad you aren't missing it. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're asking the questions. I'm glad you're interested in the stories. And I'm so glad when you sit with me and we look at one of these and we sort it through so we can learn from it and be entertained at the same time. And to think that that has connected us into other people. My years of being in the paranormal, supernatural, metaphysical, conspiracy, history, all that, all these connections all over the place. And it's so neat. People I reach out to for certain things. You have your Bigfoot specialist, notice I didn't say expert. All these different mediums and just different people for different things, channelers. It's wonderful. And to think that having those connections helped people in need and people that had just lost everything get the help they needed, or get noticed, or get, if you remember when all this happened, the major thing is loss of communication. And if you have no communication, no internet, no cell phone service, no electricity, no road, no way in, no way out, this gets very scary very fast. And to think that we could hook people up with people on the ground that were getting information, and okay, where are you? What county? What town? Because some of these towns are gone. So just getting latitude, longitude was rough. Okay. So being able to think that we could have a small part of connecting people, and have them be heard, or have them know what number to call to check on a loved one, to do wellness checks, to the other way, say, hey, we need help. We're on this, in this area, and we can't get word out. The repeaters for all the ham radios are clogged up. And if you weren't involved in this, almost virtually riding in these trucks down these highways only to find they can't get in that way, trying to get people water, or trying to get people down or out of a situation, time was of the essence. And it was people on the ground, just like you and me, just like in Liberty, and the Green Dragon, and the Revolution, and the Paul Revere's, and the Molly Pitchers who stood up and shot the cannons, and the whole thing, the John Adams and the Thomas Paines that wrote the words, the Ben Franklins that went and spoke in our behalf and got help, and just the whole thing. Throughout history, you can look back, and in times of tragedy, time of trauma, and time of great devastation, it's always the ordinary people that start putting their hands out first, putting their sweat and their know-how and their knowledge and their heart into helping perfect strangers in the most dire time of their life. This is one of them. Thank you for sticking with me. If you need any kind of numbers or connections, I highly recommend this channel. She has boots on the ground. She has gone back, I think, 4 or 5 times. I think she's on her 5th trip back. She is in East Tennessee. Her channel is Appalachian Homestead with Patara. She is a firecracker. And here is a little bit of one.
Let me tell you what $5 means to my campaign.
This is one of her.
$5 allows us to contact thousands of voters in critical
Where are we at? Where are we at?
$5 keeps.
Here we go. Here we go. Get you some addresses of the churches. But again, how it's working. Go to the church, tell them what you need.
Well, good afternoon,
get her done.
Sweethearts. Welcome back to Appalachia's Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a beautiful and wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all of your support. It's been a crazy 2.5 weeks.
Now here she is. I wanted you to see a little bit of her at the end here. I believe is where she puts. If it's not here, wait a minute. 1 second, guys. Let me go back to this real quick. I want you to get the ones with the warehouse. I think this is it. 1 second, guys. Here we go.
So, hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead.
That's it.
We are here at Crossroads Community Church Warehouse here in Cobb County, Newport. We've been telling you all about this wonderful place. It is phenomenal. That's the place. We are here with the Turtle Man.
County.
He's come down all the way from Kentucky to donate and
to
cheer people up and to volunteer. So we're going to take you around for all
Look at what they've done.
Sounds and talk to volunteers.
Look at what you did.
Volunteer, show you all of the wonderful things that are happening here in East Tennessee, and it's because of you But most importantly, thank the Lord. This is God's work, right?
Look at this. Look at this.
So here we have Mr. Logan here at the facility. This is your head volunteer. This is the man that knows it all. So he's going to tell us everything that's happening or the specifics to answer your questions in terms of your donations. Take it away, buddy.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. We appreciate all your support. Things have been crazy since a week ago Monday. We started out in the church and church parking lot. Now we're in a 45,000 square foot warehouse that's now probably 3/4 full, thanks to folks like you all. It's an entire grassroots campaign that's come together. No national organizations or corporations or anything like that, just people coming together to help people. And we appreciate you all.
Okay, so I wanted you to see that part. Now I'm going to show you this. Look behind him. Look at all this. You did this. Anybody that went through Patara, Pinball Preparedness, another YouTube channel. Here's another little bit of this. Dadgummit. Every time.
In Newport, what do you think so far?
This one's in
I love
Newport.
this operation. I mean, everyone seems to, it's hustling, it's bustling. People are getting helped.
Right? Every county should have something like this, right? Oh, Lord, here we go. We're in the way.
This is Newport,
We're in the
Tennessee.
way.
This is Newport.
I'm always the way. He's a showstopper, but I'm just a roadblock.
It's Turtle Man. All right. So you can say that's Pinball. That's his wife. Pinball Preparedness. If you heard me speak of him, look at this. Look at what ordinary people did. This is one warehouse, folks. This is one. I know that there is at least 4 just like this. And it is not just servicing Tennessee. It is servicing all the need within the Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee area. And these are all volunteers. These are volunteers took off work for a couple weeks. And people like Bear Nation and organizations like that, Samaritan's Purse and Cajun Navy, of course, they have a group as well. But everybody is now feeding out of these hubs. This is why in Tennessee they took everything to the Speedway. That's their warehouse. This one is different. This is run by the 2 that I told you that we trusted. But I wanted you to see a little bit of it, because when you're hearing the bad stuff on the news, and I'm not saying it's true or false or otherwise, I'm showing you what people are doing. Look behind them. Look behind them.
Here in Newport, Tennessee, which is in Cott County, as you
Right.
know, was hit by Helene very hard. So
Yeah.
they have now established this 45,000 square
Listen to what they're
foot
doing.
warehouse through the church. This is church. This is private. And it opened up, I want to say it was the day before yesterday.
Nobody can take it out of the church. Not a group that comes in, starts with an F or anything else. Nobody. It's in the churches now. Okay, you hear what I'm saying?
This is day 4. This is Miss Diane. And honey, don't ask me the questions. This is the woman. This is who you ask. Tell us everything that you know, what you can share for all the questions that you know we're getting.
Listen to what she
and
says.
how to help people send items to this location. Take it away, Diane.
Well, to start with, we do not need to bring any more clothing that's used clothing. They have no way to make sure it's washed. And so don't send anything like that to this warehouse.
Yeah.
If it's new with the tags still on it, they'll take it.
Yes.
Blankets, tents, sleeping bags, grills, little buddy heaters, anything that you could use camping, because there's people that are probably still out on the ground trying to keep warm. Tarps. Those are
Americans.
things people are going to need. Last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I heard that there are approximately 200 homes lost in this county. I'm sure there's more since then. I know I've heard about one more since then, that the water lifted the cabin up off of the foundation and floated it down the river.
There you go. So also, yes, the people that are still missing. I want you to see this part now. When you're thinking about people not working together.
That's exactly. Look at this. All right. So we are outside of the facility so you can actually hear us because everything's going. We've got Nathaniel here who is volunteering. And tell us real quick what you're seeing, what to tell folks.
I love this.
What's going on here, energy, what to send, anything you know.
So I'm from Newport, but I ain't lived here in about a year. But I had to come back because I can't just sit at home and watch it.
Right.
I'm seeing. There was a worry that with how directly that this weather hit the southern Appalachian region, that our culture was going to be affected by losing older people who know about our traditions. But honestly, I'm seeing a shining example of it here. It's not caring about who you are. Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have a roof over your head? How can I help you? What do you need? No complaining whatsoever. And people just putting their nose to it and doing the work that's got to be done.
Yes.
Isn't that beautiful?
We're seeing people from all over, Knoxville,
Yep.
all kinds of volunteers coming up, and man, it is manpower. The and everything coming in so fast. Everybody trying to organize.
Isn't that amazing? So all through here, you're going to see lots of this.
I'm your football obsessed best
geez.
man. When all eyes are on you, my eyes are glued to the game.
Come on. All right. So all through here, I mean, this is amazing what they're dealing with and what you guys are coming up with. They've got Bibles, they've got books, they've got all this. This is another place that's there. This is the Empower. I wanted to get the name up here. I think it's the Empower. There it is. Empower, Cock County, Empower. So those two places are collecting, and please don't let it go out of the news channel. I mean, out of the, out of the news, because everybody seems to have this goldfish thing now. It's the next shiny thing that pops up, and before you know it, nobody's talking about it. There's a lot of up and down. And I'll tell you what, if you want the answers to that, I highly recommend Bear Nation. Bear Independent is a YouTube channel. Grindstone Ministries is a YouTube channel affiliated with that. And they also have, I think it's Rapid Medical. I can't remember the name of the, it starts with an R. But if you need medical supplies for your preps or something like that, or you just want to be prepared for a storm like this, they have that stuff. And it's everything through Bear Nation is highly vetted. These people are boots on the ground. They're the ones cutting the roads in up to these mountains, getting people. They just got in another one, if I remember correctly. Bear dropped a video today. He does an intel video every day to tell you how your money is being used. If you're donating there, it's buying propane for these people in the mountains. They're in tents. They blankets. They're meeting up with people that haven't seen anybody else for all these days. They're helicoptering in stuff. They're droning in concrete. They're droning bags of concrete. It's an amazing thing to see. They're cutting roads back in these mountains so people can get in and out. They're building bridges. They've got 14, I think, different groups on the ground in multiple counties, in several states. So if you want to help, they're looking for volunteers. They're going to need a whole nother crew with chainsaws and other things. They're getting big equipment, volunteers in their helicopters, everything else. It's still going on, folks. It's still going on, and it's getting cold. So if one person hears my voice, it connects into that. And if you have skills, listen, no money, you have a phone, you have a computer, you got some time on your hands, they're asking for volunteers that can just take calls and talk to these people who just want to, they just want to talk it through. There's a little vetting there. They're going to, of course they've got safety procedures, but listen, they just want people to talk to help people connect in with other numbers and help. Again, I repeat, the only people that are helping are people like us. So if you have a skill, if you're an attorney and you can do pro bono, you can help people fill out paperwork. If you're an insurance agent, you can help that way. You can call into these places and say, hey, I've got this skill. I've got a week vacation. I was going to go, I don't know, Atlantic City. I was going to go here, whatever. And I'm thinking about it. I want to go volunteer. I can help serve food. I can help sort things. I can help hand out stuff. I can help deliver, because what's happening is you are to go to your church if you're in these affected areas and you tell them they are connected with one of these hubs. And if you don't know where those is, Bear Nation, Bear Independent, Grindstone Ministries, all the information is on their website. Patara, all on her website. Appalachia's Homestead. She has all the different addresses, and Pinball Preparedness, all in their all on their channels. Those I trust. There are more. Samaritan's Purse, Cajun Navy. Your mileage may vary. Those are the only things that'll come out of my mouth at this point. There are fantastic groups that kicked right in day one and are still up there, that are civilian driven, that had skills, maybe ex-military, whatever, that are in groups that are helping and still helping to this day. They are their FOB, their base is started out in a Harley Davidson parking lot that didn't completely lose everything. They started a parking lot there where they could land helicopters and get, you know, some large equipment and stuff in there, and they've been saving lives day one. So there's unsung heroes here, heroes of the hurricane. There are untold stories. There's a girl that sat, I'm sure if you saw on social media, it's kicking around and it'll continue to do so. The girl who sat with her horse for hours trying to hold his head up so he wouldn't drown and stuck in the mud until help came. For a lot of these people, help did not come. There was help that we all assumed would be there. We all hoped it would be there. We all thought when we lay our head on the pillow that help is going to be there, that we're protected. We have this false sense of security. Somebody's got it. Maybe your locals, maybe somebody in the house, maybe, you know, something bigger, like you think, you know, surely if mud, you know, rain was to come out of the sky so hard with so much wind that it would blow so much water down a mountain that would wipe out entire towns. Surely help would come. Well, ladies and gentlemen, help came. They weren't in uniforms. They weren't sent by a phone call by some strong person with a clear head in charge. It was and always will be the ordinary person, that small group of dedicated and devoted individuals. That's who came. That's who continues to come today, who continues to go without sleep, sleeping on cots, showing up, holding hands, trying to get people under extreme PTSD and trauma through a very hard time. And I hope it stops now. But this is where you see the helpers. This is where you see the light workers. This is what you're here for. So find a way to help, find a way to prepare, find a way to be the light in the darkness. And if you want to be here October 22nd, Tuesday night, 8 p.m., we'll start with the story that's going to take you there. And it's going to hopefully show you where you are in the story. Somebody that you can connect into a character where you go, you know what? I have that. And I've felt those things and I could do those things. And if I had to stand up, I could do those things. Because together, we're a whole lot stronger. And there's proof now in Tennessee, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. It's proof. It's happening every day as we speak. And they still need your help. So if you have a skill, if you can talk on the phone, hook up with these places, see what you can do from afar, or just connect other people that might be able to benefit from these contacts, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Halloween's coming. We're going to have a good time. I've got a lot of different shows I'm working on. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for coming last night and listening to Sleepy Hollow. If you have not seen that, please go check it out. It's narrated by a wonderful, it's the original Washington Irving's the story, the way he wrote it. It's not the Disney version or the new, the Christopher Walken, Johnny Depp version. It is the original as Washington himself wrote it. Irving, not George. And it's very good. And it's written, it's done by a volunteer named Chip for the Lieber House. If you're not familiar with Lieber House, a lot of books are on audio there. It is for the disabled, as well as those who like audiobooks. And there are so many classics are there. And every once in a while, you get a really good reader that you're just astonished to listen to. And Chip is one of those. So I hope you'll listen to that. Sleepy Hollow. There's a lot of different visuals that contain all the new versions as well, but a lot of the Disney stuff too. So it's kind of cool. So thank you so much. Have a good evening. Be good humans and try to help out if you can. And if at the very least, prepare, because I think I don't think the storm's over, folks. And I think we're here to keep the lights on during that storm. On the way out, here is a 23 version of I'm a Ghost. So this is what people were listening to in 1923, I believe. Oh, how the times have changed. Good night, everybody.
I'm a ghost. And I'm after kids who fuss and fight and never wash their necks at night. Ooh, don't tie cans to a doggy's head. Ooh, I'll get you when the moon turns pale. I'm a ghost. Ooh, I'm a ghost. Ooh, I'm a snooky, ooky, spooky, wooky, eerie ghost.
I'm a ghost. Ooh, I'm a ghost. Ooh, and I haunt all of the bad little boys who tell big fibs and break up toys. I'm a ghost. Ooh, I'm a ghost. Ooh, and I'm after kids who fuss and fight and never say their prayers at night.
Ooh, we just finish every day. Ooh, or you can't go out and play.